Joined by the one and only Margot, myself, David James, plus special guests Brendan Quinn, Declan Ernie, and Patrick Feeney. This is a night not to be missed. Tickets now on sale. For more information, visit the outlet at highlandradio.com or give us a call on 074 91 25000. We'll see you at the Highland Radio Birthday Bash.
Well, there you have it. I know Gregory's going to be impressed with my timekeeping on a Friday because it's all going Friday.
Early.
I'm early today, see? Better.
Puts me up under a wee bit of pressure.
Oh, God, if I'm late, it's under pressure. If I'm early, on pressure. And I don't want to be dead on time.
I didn't hear all of your survey on the names. I think a lot of people nowadays call their mums by their Christian names. Was that one of the options?
No, nobody said that. No, because Mother's Day's around the corner. It's a little news story that came in.
Do a lot of people call their mums by their first name?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But there's lots of different options. Do you know, I would call mum, my mother, mum. But it's just a survey. A lot of people call their mammies ma.
Yes, ma was what my mother insisted on being called by her grandchildren.
Right, ma.
Ma, yeah.
Right, okay.
So
and then you have mum.
She didn't like granny. You see, grannies can be quite controversial for some.
Yes, and my mother doesn't like called granny. She's called nana.
Well, nana, that's lovely.
That's nice, isn't it? Come here, busy show as always. I see you have more paper about you than big stuff today going on.
Through because you come to me a minute early. You know, I'm under pressure.
It's all right. Do you want a cup of tea?
No, I'm all right. Just.
Well, sure, you have 2 minutes now when she's reading the news.
We'll have stuff to do in that 2 minutes too, Lee.
Oh, man.
Have a good weekend, sunshine.
Have a great weekend.
All right, take care of yourself. It is the 9 till noon show. Another fantastic Friday panel has assembled. We'll introduce them to you after we get the latest news headlines. And it's over to Donna. It's not. It's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Motorists are urged to continue to take care on the roads this morning due to overnight snowfall. A Stanish yellow snow and ice warning was in place for Donegal, but that has now expired. Drivers are still being warned of difficult driving conditions in parts of the county, particularly travelling through the Gap and in the Glenties area. Alan O'Reilly from Carlow Weather says if you're in one of the areas affected, don't venture out unless you have to.
The biggest problem for motorists really is the changing conditions from one area to another. So as you're driving along your destination, you know, it could be very, very different from where you started off. And as you're driving, you may well come across snow, line snow. And then obviously there is some areas where, you know, people are waking up to line snow. And if you don't need to travel with heavy snow on the ground, then it's best to stay at home.
President Higgins is said to be in excellent spirits after spending the night in hospital. He was taken by ambulance from Arsenukron as a precaution yesterday evening after feeling unwell. Journal.ie reporter Maria Maguire says the President has been undergoing tests.
Yesterday evening they ran some tests in the hospital, again as a precautionary measure, and Arsenukron said that so far the results have been quite positive. What we know now is that he was kept in overnight. He's in a hospital in Dublin. And last night he was said to have been in excellent spirits.
Questions have been raised over Donegal County Council's planning policy governing public infrastructure installations such as signs. It's as work is currently underway on Buncrana's shorefront to install a large sign commissioned by funding from Councillor Nicholas Crossan's Mayor Fund, which he claims was brought before members of the Inisho Municipal District. The local authority says planning exemptions mean such items can be erected without a public consultation. Councillor Jack Murray, however, believes the public deserve to have their say.
It's hugely prominent. It's 30 foot wide. Some people love it, others do not. What I think is it should be some level of public engagement when something as significant as this takes place. I think the likes of the tidy towns and other community groups should have their say. The public as a whole should have their say. So I would encourage people now to engage with the council, let give their opinions on this, and we need to look at this in the future so that this doesn't happen again.
The Agriculture Minister will meet his Northern Irish counterpart in Donegal today. Ministers Charlie McConlogue and Andrew Moore are set to celebrate the announcement that Irish grass-fed beef is being given the same special status as champagne. The PGI label means the world-class product is directly connected to a specific region. Finally, for weather, cold today with a mix of rain, sleet and snow. Brighter, drier weather will follow this afternoon with highest temperatures of 3 to 7 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Before you settle on a new hybrid, take the Nissan Qashqai e-Power Challenge. The Nissan Qashqai e-Power is a hybrid, so you don't have to plug in. But unlike other hybrids, it always drives in electric mode. You get the superior, smooth and quiet driving experience of an electric car all of the time. Take the Nissan Qashqai e-Power Challenge at your local Nissan dealer today. You'll never look back. Nissan, innovation that excites.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning to you. It's just turning 4 minutes past 9 on this Friday, the 1st of March, 2024. You're very welcome along to another month and another edition of the 9 till Noon Show, the last one of this week, and loads coming up over the next 3 hours to keep you informed and entertained. And we're going to kick off our first hour with our Friday panel. I'll introduce them to you after I invite you to have your say throughout the course of the hour. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that telephone number. You can voice note to the WhatsApp number as well. You can give us a call on 07491 25,000 or email comments at highlandradio.com. And if it suits you and you want to watch the show, you can put us up on your big TV. If it's a smart TV, open the YouTube app, Highland Radio Ireland. Same thing with your Fire Stick. We're across your mobile devices on YouTube and Facebook as well. Highland Hub, Highland News and Sport, and on X. Good morning to you if you're watching us on X as well. Right, let's say hello to the Friday panel. Firstly, Councillor Nicholas Crossan, Independent Councillor in the Inishowen Municipal District. Good morning to you, Nicholas. Good to have you back on the show.
Good morning, Nicholas.
Professor Pat O'Connor, Professor of Sociology and Social Policy at University of Limerick. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, Craig.
Always a pleasure to have you with us. And last but not least, Deputy Joe McHugh. Good morning, Joe. Thanks for the time this morning.
Majin Way, Greg.
Good to have you with us, Majin Way. Right, okay. Should I get a quick word with you on this sign that's appeared in Buncrana, Nicholas?
Oh, yeah, well, whatever you want, Greg. It doesn't really matter, but I would want to take up too much time with the rest of the people, but...
Well, no, just, is it controversial? Jack Morey says his phone hasn't stopped ringing, inquiring about this 30-foot sign. I saw a picture of it. Looks pretty enough. Didn't need planning permission. Do you have a hand in this, Nicholas?
Oh, yes. That's out of the mayor funding, Greg, that you're entitled as a mayor of the county to do something in your local area. So I approached the St. Patrick's Day, which I was a member of St. Patrick's Day Committee, and asked them would we put up a sign in memory of the past members of St. Patrick's Day Committee in Buncrana, which served Buncrana from the mid-80s right through up to the present day, actually.
And Councillor Morey saying that the public should have had a say before it was erected. I mean, do you agree with him? Disagree?
Well, if we were to agree, I asked for people have said to me, nobody has, I have to state, nobody has phoned me, first of all, to ask make any inquiries about the location of it. Anybody that phoned me, and I got phone calls from as far away as Australia, actually, saying that it's a lovely job, can't wait for summer to get a photograph, to put it posted on it. But I mean, like, the bus shelter or the bike shelter was erected down there, and I certainly wasn't told about it. But for the councillors, I think it's a bit disingenuous for the councillors to say that they knew nothing about this. Paul Canning, Martin Farron, Martin McDermott, Johnny McGuinness all knew what they were voting for and voted for funding to erect this sign. And that was last year as a minor tourism grant. Councillor Murray said on what was sent to me, I don't do Facebook, it was sent to me that he knew absolutely nothing about it. And then he raised it on Monday. And I told him on Monday that he voted for it. And the engineer, Michael McFadden, told him that he voted for it. So maybe Deputy McHugh might be able to come on here. Maybe it's election season starting early, but maybe they haven't got the notice that I'm not running.
Okay. I don't know if you have a view on it, Deputy McHugh. Have you seen the imagery of it, or I don't know, the process of it?
Well, I suppose me and Nicholas are on the same page. We're not running again, so we can have more flexibility in this issue. But look, I wouldn't know the intricacies of it, but I would say one thing. If, at the end of the day, the people in the electoral area or the municipal district voted for the councillors. And if you were to go back and get the opinion of the public on every single issue, I don't think anything would be done. But that's only my
That's exactly right. But the bus that Nicholas tried to throw you under there, you dodged quite perfectly, I think.
I was good at that.
All right, easy on lads. Professor O'Connor, me and you are somewhat removed from it. I'm not sure if you have an opinion on it. I'm going to leave it to the boys. It's up to you, though.
No, I have no opinion. I'm afraid it's all news to me.
Okay, I just wanted a quick word from Nicholas on that. There's a few things we want to get through. I just want to mention this one because it's on the front of the papers today. Fianna Fáil drawing up a new party policy on immigration in the clearest sign yet that the topic is moving centre stage ahead of the upcoming local elections. The main parties in Leinster House have all struggled, I think we can agree, with the issue in recent months as protests mounted over the location of asylum seeker accommodation. Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael have both faced situations where local reps have defied the party leadership and criticised the government. Sinn Féin too have been accused of really not having a firm policy or a coherent message on immigration. But it's clear it's going to be a very interesting period for this election and no doubt the following general election. I don't think it's any surprise to anyone, is it, Professor O'Connor, that immigration is going to be front and centre as we approach the local elections and beyond?
I think it's certainly going to be very important. I don't know if it's going to be more important than issues like housing. I think some of the problems have been caused by the government opting for the quick solution of hotel accommodation and really not planning ahead in terms of thinking what were the knock-on consequences of that. And it is becoming very obvious that the knock-on consequences include the implications for tourist, non-accommodation tourist industries, which are really greatly affected by this. I suppose what has also become clear is that the government hasn't really been sharp enough in terms of seeing anomalies that the situation has created, which have irritated people. Do you know that where they see that those who have come to the country are being treated differently and more, they would argue, more favourably than citizens. That has caused a problem. And of course, internationally, then you have the fact that 1,000 people, 1,000 men, largely men, are basically living in tents is going to get us into trouble internationally. So really, the government, I do think part of the problem has been giving it to Roderick O'Gorman.
But is that not a concern, though, that this government or any government would not see this coming? Because one of the very, very first conversations when it emerged that a hotel, I think it was the first in Donegal, in Letterkenny, was to be used to house refugees. On day one, before a refugee had walked into it, on this programme, we were debating the impact that would have on tourism, local newsagents, local cafes, and so on and so forth. So it was very, very clear, even to an imbecile like me, from day one before a refugee moved in, that these would be the consequences of these actions. So is that in and of itself that we're so far down the line and maybe now people are waking up to it? That's a concern.
Yes, it is a concern. I do think that the initial allocating the Red Cross, going back to way back, the Red Cross to deal with it was completely ineffective. I saw in Waterford how, people who are willing to offer accommodation were totally frustrated by the, really, it was too big a task for the Red Cross.
And it became a cash cow. I mean, there are multi-millionaires in this country now. And yet there are people who offered their homes that never got a call back.
No, exactly. And you have to wonder in terms of, was the unwillingness to face up to the social implications of the use of hotels and centres, was there a vested interest, basically, in going down those roads rather than going down the road of providing accommodation, or even in some cases using, for example, networks of people existing in the country to find solutions. The quick solution was adopted, and really the government has reaped a whirlwind on it now. OK,
I'll come back to you. I would never contradict Professor O'Connor, Joe McHugh, but in terms of it being maybe not being the top topic, I believe it will be, and for the reason why housing would be the other competitor to it. It's so complex. It's so medium term. It's so long term. It's about delivery. It's about working numbers to say we're doing really well or we're not doing really well. Or Sinn Féin saying we will build a house for everyone or whatever it might be. Whereas immigration is incredibly simple. And a lot of that was articulated by Pat O'Connor. And often I think, and we saw with Brexit, for an example, the easier to articulate and to swing people on is often what ends up being the principal agenda. And that would be the reason why I think immigration is going to be the hot one.
Yeah, look, I think Professor O'Connor certainly was hitting a couple of very important points there in terms of what went wrong in terms of the overall process. If we go back to the very, very beginning, there was such a warm and open and embracing of immigration at a community level, and the amount of people I know that signed up for their houses to bring in Ukrainians, people who were embracing the whole concept of a war-torn country and looking after people who were losing family members and having to come to a strange country. So I think what has happened, I think there's been the lack of openness and transparency around it. Communities, while embracing it, and you've only to look at examples. Even I was in the Letterkenny Park run there on Saturday morning, and communities are still embracing that inclusiveness. Over Christmas, I was in Borris O'Kane. There's so many people and communities still embracing it, but what's missing, the missing piece of the jigsaw, is there's been a lack of openness, a lack of transparency, and a lack of communication.
Has that been purposeful? Has that been done on purpose? Because we can go all the way back to Moville when there was talk of refugees or international protection applicants, I can't remember exactly which, coming into Moville. There were public meetings concerned about local school places, concerned about GP resources, pressure on the local hospital. This is going back way before Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And it seemed that the policy then was outlined that, well, if we did consultation everywhere we go, we'd never get anything done. So the points that you say it's a failure on, was that not really, or is that not really policy? Ask for forgiveness.
I think there was to be honest, I think there was a complete lack of policy, Greg, because I suppose everything happened so quickly, and it became a numbers game, and there were so many intents. There were so many in City West, and we've so many today. We've X amount to get into accommodation, and then all of a sudden, hotels became the easy option because they didn't have to be refurbished. They were ready to go, and I suppose the sad reality, 2 years plus into the war, we have a situation where we had a lot of state buildings. We had a lot of buildings that were mooted by many politicians, including myself, to the department that could have been used with local labour that could have been organised. So there were opportunities missed there. And I think then, Greg, it became a numbers game, and it became, with so many overnight intents, we have to get them down the road or up the road or over the road. We need to get them in summer, and it became a reactive thing. And anytime you're reacting and you're not being proactive and you're not being organised and you're not being deliberate about a thing, it goes wrong, as in this case.
What's the solution, though? You know, I mean, like, I wouldn't like to be going to doorsteps trying to articulate in Inishowen, for an example, when people in some cases are struggling to get GP services, or, you know, they're struggling to get their children to school but see a bus going up with just 2 Ukrainian children on it or whatever. And it's not based in any racism. It's purely about fairness. And things not being seen to be fair. Like, I wouldn't like to be going on the doorsteps trying to articulate a particular point of view to the general public. Is that something you would look forward to?
Well, so I'm not going onto the doorsteps, but I would be saying no different to what if I were going on the doorsteps. I think what needs to be done is we need to highlight the good aspects. Like, there's so many refugees and whether it's foreign nationals, whether it's Ukrainian, so many refugees, so many people that have come to our shores that are retraining, reskilling, are part of the community. And I think, in fairness to different groups, and I know the ETB are doing great work around this, along with Solace, they're producing, they have the evidence, and they're producing the results in relation to people coming back and upskilling. Now, you do hear of cases where maybe you have an obstetrician from Ukraine coming in and doesn't have the language to meet the desired qualifications to become an obstetrician in this country, and then ends up doing something else. But look, that's just one example. There's loads of other examples where there is a big effort, and I think we need to make that more public, because at the end of the day, immigration in our history of immigration in this country, it was the women that built the NHS in the UK, and it was the men that built the tunnels and the roads. The people that come to our shores are contributing, and they will contribute. Yeah,
and I think there is sort of 2 tracks here, in that there are families and children, and women and children. And I think then there are large groups of I don't know what the relationship status are, but they come here on their own. And attitudes, I think, are different between those two groups. But anyway, we can come back to that. Nicholas Cross, in your view?
My view, it's been very well articulated by the two, Professor Pat and Deputy McHugh there. I do believe that this has snowballed, that the government at the start, we were very welcome to refugees from Ukraine coming in. People were offering accommodation in their own houses for it. But the numbers outgrew what we thought, and there was no future planning for it from the government. Saying the transparency was light on the ground, because I know that we were asked as councillors, do you know this is happening? And we could put my hand on heart and say, look, we knew nothing about it. But I think it has snowballed out of all proportion, and I do believe it will be an election issue, a huge election issue come, especially for local elections.
Now we had contact from a person who was getting €800 a month to house two Ukrainians in their 2 bedrooms of their house. They went to renew their house insurance, €1,900 their house insurance renewal quote was. They went back to the people they're liaising with and they says, no, you get £800 and that's it. You know what I mean? Everything has to come out of that. That person's now thinking of exiting that process, giving up the accommodation, and probably within a stone's throw of where they are, you've got business people, not business people, making millions and millions and millions of euros. So that's we treat one sector, the business side of it, one way, and those that arguably did the right thing, we can't even make a consideration for them that their house insurance is quadrupled because they are housing Ukrainians for €800 a month. I mean, it's crazy.
I agree 100% with you, and it's that is a money factor for individuals probably trying to do the right thing. The other thing is our hotels and our hostels have gone for this tourism season, and that's my biggest fear. That people were looking, and if there's only one hotel available in a town and it's booked up, that's going to cut down our tourism season, and that's what I'm afraid of more than anything else, Greg.
Yeah, that's the reality. It is going to happen. We've seen it, and we're going into another year. Pat, do you want a quick word on this before the first break?
I suppose I do think that even at this late stage, the government needs to think where it goes from here. Do you know what I mean? In a way, there've been mutterings that you feel almost the government is, quote, hoping that people might go back to Ukraine before the 3-year period, which is up next March, which the government committed to. But it is very clear that the war will still be going on at that stage. So in a way, there does very belatedly need to be forward thinking. On the positive note, I suppose what has been interesting is to see how many small schools in the West have been saved by Ukrainian children, saved in inverted commas, ones that basically were on incredibly low numbers, who are absolutely delighted now, who in some cases have been able to have an extra teacher, so that there has been totally unexpected upsides. But the difficulty, I think, the real shoe is pinching on accommodation. And I mean, in a way, the whole question, I don't know if the government has really thought through if people are in employment, should they not be contributing to their rent? Do you know if they're getting... That's a cause of irritation to some
because
people.
There is also another issue that is discussed, but it hasn't really, I don't think, been discussed broadly publicly, is that there are there is an awful lot of competition in the private rental market, and a lot of Ukrainian families are quite well placed in that they have been in hotel accommodation and received quite a lot of money and been able to accumulate some money, and that gives them, against families who are more hard-pressed, a competitive advantage in the private rental market as well.
Yes, I mean, in a way, the complexities, when you get down to nitty-gritty, the anomalies are huge, but you have the feeling that, Councillor McHugh, that many of the politicians aren't actually seeing the nitty-gritty, whereas the voting public are seeing the nitty-gritty, and there needs to be tweaking of regulations at a very local, at a very micro level for people to see that the thing is operating fairly, which, as my colleagues have said, is a cause of great aggravation now.
Okay. Councillor McHugh. Sounds good, but he got deputy status after that. Ministerial status. Back down to deputy, and we don't know what he is now. Is he in or out of Fine Gael? It's like the hokey cokey. We'll see. You'll jump in before you'll put your left.
We should go by first names.
Yes, that would do the job. Yeah.
You'll put your left foot in. You'll put your left foot in, will you, just before you hang up the.
When Pat was calling me councillor, I was thinking on a label, and I heard the one about Postman Pat. The time Postman Pat lost the job, you know what they called him, Greg?
Pat,
yeah. Joel do.
We'll be back with more from our guests after these.
Choose life. Choose fun. Choose not sitting at home getting bored. Choose something better. Something really fun. Choose Fundamania. Coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl from March 1st. Choose regular, junior or family wristbands and enjoy some of Europe's top thrill rides. Choose fun for all ages. A legendary Fundamania event, 1st to the 17th of March. For details, see fundamania.co.uk.
Acres Payments, land and farmers' accounts. For more in your Irish Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Over 20,000 farmers to receive key farm payment this week. Hogget prices hit record high. Beef finishers losing close to €200 per head on autumn stores. Full reaction to EU nature restoration law. Milk price top-up for Arrivo suppliers. Beef and sheep farmers lose out on trade deals. Plus, we hear from 3 farmers devastated by TB outbreaks.
All inside the Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
SEAI is delighted to announce the return of the ZEVI EV Dealership of the Year Awards. And this year's Ulster winner is Connolly's Volkswagen Letterkenny. To learn more about the awards and EV grants, visit seai.ie, supported by the Government of Ireland.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at the Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
ATU Donegal is hosting an open day on Saturday, 2nd of March on our Letterkenny campus. Join us from 10 through to 1 to find out about all our programme offerings, meet with our academic and support staff and enjoy a guided campus tour. A range of talks will also be delivered on the day, from advice on choosing the right career path or programme for you to financing your third level journey. To register now, visit atu.ie/open days.
You have to be careful with every word you say on this programme because our listeners are so eagle-eared. Joe just said he'll not be knocking on doors. Does this mean he is not supporting or canvassing for the local Fine Gael election candidates, Joe?
It's a good question. I suppose where I sit at the moment is outside the parliamentary party, so I don't attend parliamentary party meetings. I vote with Fine Gael. I'm supportive of the government. But the only place where I have the difficulty is on the Mica front. And no doubt the Mica issue is going to be a massive issue for both the local and the general election. And in terms of my support, look, I'm just thinking on the likes of locally in my Milford area. I went to Aaron Sweeney's convention. It's the only convention I've gone to is in my local area. He started canvassing with me when he was 13 years of age. He's a good young man, and at a personal level, I came in and obviously I'll give him whatever help behind the scenes. But it's something I haven't considered.
But it does make it a little bit difficult for you on the doorstep because you are on a key issue for Donegal, the top issue, sort of very much outside Fine Gael. So you could find yourself in an awkward position, say, for instance, with you and Aaron at a doorstep. Yeah. I don't want to get into it because when you are canvassing for a party, you have to back what the party is saying, of course. So we won't get into that because I don't want to put Aaron in an awkward position. But it would make it probably difficult for you to canvass it in that scenario with whomever it might be with.
Yeah, and look, I have to think seriously about it, and obviously the candidates I have to be asked first, and if there's candidates in the Fine Gael party that and asks me to do something, I'm going to obviously try to be as helpful as I possibly can. But I don't want to put them in a compromising position as well, because I've taken a very, very black and white stand on the Micah issue. Like Leo knows where I stand on it as well. I've been speaking on it this week at committee, last week in the Dáil. There's just, look, potentially, like you've covered this ground so much. Potentially, we have a good scheme, but at the moment, it's not working for a lot of people, and that's where I have a difficulty. Yeah,
we might come back to that actually a little later in the show. Gaza health authorities said Israeli forces on Thursday shot dead more than 100 Palestinians as they waited for an aid delivery. But Israel blamed the deaths on crowds that surrounded aid trucks, saying victims had been trampled or run over. And I heard an IDF spokesperson platformed on the BBC framing these victims as robbers and looters, which I just thought was remarkable. At least 112 people were killed, more than 280 wounded in the incident near Gaza City, Palestinian health officials said. Now, every day 100 Palestinians at least are killed, mostly women and children. 2.3 million in that country, or that enclave, or however one wants to describe it, have had their lives turned upside down through displacement and what have you. Professor O'Connor, like how is the world standing by and watching this happen? And I don't mean us as individuals. I think we're horrified every single night for what we see. But we see rhetoric and particularly use of words and, Joe Biden there speaking, announcing a ceasefire somewhat prematurely because it was advantageous perhaps for him to do so. You know what I mean? These humans, these people, these women and children primarily, it seem to be just pawns. Like, how can it continue as is? It's just impossible for me to get my head around it.
Well, I think it's the most dreadful, depressing episode in many, many years. I think the problem really is Zionism. And by that, I mean the idea of a Jewish state for a Jewish people. I went on a holiday, inverted commas, to Israel and Jordan there about 5 years ago, pre-COVID. And at that time, it was very clear, like it was in conjunction with G Adventures and National Geographic. So we had lectures by various people, and we went to Palestinian camps, and we had lectures by Jewish academics, and we did kosher cooking. So it was you were exposed to both cultures. And it was very clear to me at that time that as the Jewish academic said, like there were two views in Israel. On the one hand, there were people who wanted a Jewish state for a Jewish people. And there were people who wanted a democratic state where basically everyone was represented regardless of their background. And in his view, the majority were of the opinion, which is Zionism, this tradition which has basically reached an apogee in about 1948 in the Nabka. But in his view, the majority of the Israelis at that time wanted a Jewish state for a Jewish people. And what we have seen is the working through of that. Netanyahu's father was actually one of the lead exponents of this and went to America. I think Joe Biden has actually, I've seen him on record describing himself as a Zionist. I think I found it profoundly depressing. The attitudes of Ursula von der Leyen. I've always been a supporter of the EU, and really I'm beginning to wonder. Germany's attitude, Rishi Sunak's attitude, even at times Macron's. Like this, to me, I'm very clear this is genocide. The desire is to annihilate the Palestinian people. Yes, what Hamas did on the 7th of October was dreadful, but the whole strategy, Netanyahu's political career is resting on this, and he is making the people of Palestine ordinary people. The deaths of over 15,000 children, to me, it just is.
But there doesn't seem to be any opposition. I think there was a vote recently on going into Rafah, and there was cross-party support for it. So it's not it's not as if he is, on the brink of being overthrown, because you've got, as I say, cross-party support for such what seemingly is a horrific action.
Well, there is I spent an entire day at the Jewish Museum in Jerusalem, and you can see that what is happening to the Palestinians is a direct mirror image of what happened to the Jews. The media is completely skewed. The whole, what the lies that are being fed to the Jewish population is the Israeli population is one part of it. But there is also, I suppose, there is a left. I mean, the dehumanization, even by the ministers, referring to the ministers and the government, not simply Netanyahu, the Minister of Defense, Minister for Culture, referring to Palestinians as animals. Like, it is unbelievable. So in a way, I suppose but the whole, how the international structures have operated and how ineffective
But there seems a great fear to call Israel out for fear of being accused of anti-Semitic. We're seeing what's happening in England at the moment. It's really actually quite bizarre. Sometimes I can't believe what I'm saying. So if anyone's even slightly critical, they're called anti-Semitic and they have the whip taken off them, or they're roundly condemned, or what have you. There's no open conversation, seemingly.
Well, in a way, and this is also a huge problem in America, the number of those in Biden's cabinet. I don't know if they're Zionists, but certainly they're Jewish. And the pressure, the political pressure against criticising the government. It is like if anybody who criticised the Irish government were to be described as anti-Irish. It's preposterous. And yet, such has been the collective Western guilt, I guess, because the West, we have... through the concentration camps, through Germany, through all of that, there is, a collective guilt about the way the Jews were treated and about the Holocaust, and that seems to be exploited deliberately. But this fusion, but even RTE, they don't make a distinction between Zionism and Jewishness, and yet there are Torah Jews protesting in Israel and outside it who are saying, we are Jewish, but we do not support the state, we do not support genocide in Palestine. But it is, I cannot, it's horrific, it's dreadful, you feel so powerless, and I cannot really, it shows how the difference in the way the international bodies have responded to Russia's invasion and to Israel's invasion of Gaza. Like, the contrast is so clear. And really, it means that international law is only for some people. And I'm just horrified.
And that it is so obvious in that you can see the attitude towards Russia and Ukraine versus Israel and Palestine. There are literally two things going on the moment that make pretty much every point that you made in terms of international law and what have you. Nicholas Crossan, I suppose we would hope, wouldn't you, that a country's government reflects the views of the people and the sense and the feeling of the people. Do you believe that's happening currently, Nicholas? Because people are... I think people are either... There's two groups of people. They're so upset that they're actually having to ignore it to some extent, or they are actively calling out what the professor labelled genocide. You're muted, Nicholas. Sorry, just unmute there so we can hear you if you don't mind.
All right. Sorry, Greg. Nicholas. I would agree with what Pat was saying. This is genocide. There's no other word for it. And it's the warmongers that keep going on and keep this going on. And for the media to come out last night and saying that people, the tanks were in danger of people running with them looking for food. Any man, woman or child to feed their family would have done the same thing. When food trucks come in, try to get your share for your family. And for the media to turn around, but this is all propaganda that's coming out, and there are people who believe it. But what we have in Israel and Gaza Strip, the West Bank at this present minute in time, is nothing short of genocide. It should be condemned throughout the world. But is there a fear because if somebody might, if the Americans come in and directly behind Israel, do the Russians come in behind, or does Iran or Iraq come in behind the Palestinian people? Could it escalate? These are all the questions we have to watch. But what had happened in the moment in Gaza and Israel is an absolute disaster, and we're watching it unfold in front of our eyes. It's just horrendous, to say the least.
I can't imagine either that there weren't drones up, or even satellite images, but particularly drones up, that could very clearly clear up what happened here. But would you have the faith that if America could prove that Israel opened up, and just attacked these people, would they even release that footage? I don't think they would, Nicholas.
No, I don't think they would either. There were drones up that they showed people running, but I didn't see anybody. I mean, like if you're running against a tank, they said there were warning shots fired, and people kept running towards the tank. What are they going to do when they get to the tank?
Well, they claimed that they were attaching explosives to the tanks, but I mean, there's absolutely no evidence that actually happened.
The people haven't got food for their children, not alone arms to fight with. I mean, like this is horrendous stuff coming out from worldwide media coming out on this here. I had to condemn every word that they're saying, and it's genocide, and it's nothing short of genocide.
Joe, I mean, Ireland has arguably taken a tougher stance on this than others have, but have we gone far enough, given our status, given our history?
I think, look, you're right to identify, like, the Spanish government and Ireland have taken a stand, but it's important to keep that momentum going. It's hard to understand why it's only just Spain and Ireland that's taken this stand, because at the end of the day, and I think it was quite well articulated there by Pat and Nicholas, like, we're talking about innocence here. We're talking about two wrongs to make a right, and all those arguments, false arguments. But my real concern, obviously, the current concern, and people dying, people being maimed, and people being killed and murdered. We only have to look at the future, and I think there will be consequences for this international indecision, because with all that anger, all that pain, all that hurt, there's going to be consequences, and where does this end? And whatever effort needs to be done now is to try to bring a ceasefire as quickly as possible, but there's no confidence, or there's no light at the end of the tunnel even today that this will happen.
I mean, there is no doubt that the attacks in Israel early October were absolutely disgusting. You couldn't condemn them enough. Horrendous. But so much has happened since that it's almost difficult to frame what's happening now in that context, if that makes sense. And I don't want to be insensitive, but I'm hoping I'm getting my point across. Like, for in the interim, even Joe Biden saying, right, well, hopefully by the end of next weekend, that's 7 days away. That's a minimum of 1,000 women and children killed. That's the problem with people not being able to feed themselves, being displaced, 2.3 million people. Like, the journalists should call out, say 7 days away, 8 days away. What about the horrendous activity that's going to happen between now and then? It doesn't even take into consideration the devastation that's being delivered on these people, that kind of language.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a lot of irrational commentary probably in a vacuum at the moment of fear. And I think Pat was, pointing to the point there that there seems like nobody can argue against what happened. 6 million Jews being exterminated in gas chambers. Nobody can argue against that. But after the attacks, after the Hamas attacks on Israel, and as you pointed out, Greg, like, totally wrong, totally callous, absolutely nobody can condone that. But it seems to have hit some sort of nerve in the psyche of the Jewish people internationally. But anybody looking at this objectively, there's no justification for what's happening today, irrespective of what happened in the past.
Pat, collective punishment in and of itself is contravening God knows what, but there's absolutely no doubt that that's what's happening at the moment.
Yes, like I completely agree with you. That it is collective punishment. Its purpose is genocide. But then I suppose, like, Biden articulated the view, which is held by apparently a lot of European leaders, which I struggle to understand, that without a Jewish state for a Jewish people, all Jews are unsafe. Now, that, I mean, in a way, we know that attempts to create like a Protestant state for a Protestant people, and back in medieval times, Catholic states, this kind of thinking does not work. right? And yet nobody is somehow willing to, the best they're coming to is a two-state solution. And to be honest, a two-state solution is totally dead in the water. Because if Israel even had an inch, the Israeli people, not mind the government, had an inch of common sense, if you murder 15,000 of your neighbour's children, you are not contributing to your future security.
And also, too, I mean, the Jewish population, obviously, they feel that that there's a lot of anti-Jewish sentiment and what have you. But this is probably going to be, talking about collective judgment, this is going to do irreparable damage, surely, to the, I don't know, the standing of Jewish people across the globe.
Yes, completely. And a small, tiny proportion of Jews, Torah Jews, the people with the ringlets and the skull caps, have realised that. But I suppose to come back to what is so clear is how much lies have been told. For example, the hostages, the 3 hostages that were shot, and basically their own people shot them, and they initially tried to argue that they were carrying arms, and it was very clear they came out with their hands up. So that, to me, clearly illustrated that really so much of what has been said.
I mean, even in relation to the attack yesterday, the excuses and explaining away is what you'd expect 3 or 4 8-year-olds to come up with if they were trying to cover up messing up a room in the house or something. That's what beggars belief to me. Okay, more from Pat, Joe and Nicholas after these.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
Choose life. Choose fun. Choose not sitting at home getting bored. Choose something better. Something really fun. Choose Fundamania. Coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl from March 1st. Choose regular, junior or family wristbands and enjoy some of Europe's top thrill rides. Choose fun for all ages. A legendary Fundamania event, 1st to the 17th of March. For details, see fundamania.co.uk.
It's time to visit Ireland's newest Lexus dealership, Lexus Letterkenny. With 50 years of experience, you can trust us in this new era of electrification. Experience our all-electrified range, including the stunning ES Hybrid Saloon and our award-winning range of plug-in hybrid SUVs. And view our finance offers, including the all-new LBX. Start your 2-for-1 journey with Lexus Letterkenny Port Road. Lexus. Experience amazing.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP room, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
An 8 Márta, Iarfar ar an Vótáil I ngá referin. Baineann an chéad referin leis a guia ngaithníon ar munracht tailig. Agus mallan an darda ceann teacs nua a chur an áit na foclíochta atá ann hana hain, chun ahantas a thuairt de chóirim leistigh de heilig. Tá tuile eolais sa leabhrán na seoladh chuút. Nu feach ar electoralcommission.ie/referendums. Is é de vóta do gá. Ca vóta de híine mar sin, ar an 8 Márta. An Comisiún Tábhacháin. Comisiún Neamhspleách Tábhacháin na hÉireann.
Some people are texting and suggesting that things are changing in Ireland. Some are using the word genocide. But let me try and frame what they're getting at is that, you know, they believe Irish culture or Irishness or the Irish are presumably through immigration being forced out of this country. And why is no one talking about that? I mean, these are two very different situations where you have women and children being slaughtered and just left to... I don't know. Does any of you want to take that on? Even suggest that something similar is happening here in a different way. Pat, I don't think you do. Joe,
this is again capitalising on a dreadful situation.
Yeah, okay. Is enough being done to fully inform the public on choices and the consequences of the referenda in March? Yesterday, we heard Senator Michael McDowell say, "If in doubt, vote no." I think that's a very powerful message that those campaigning for a yes may struggle to counter, because it's so complex, and a lot of the concerns that are being put out there are not necessarily what we're actually voting on, but the consequences of that vote down the line. Nicholas, what do you think?
I agree 100%. It is so confusing, and I have read the pros and cons of it. But I have got probably a few issues that I'm not very clear on. Is durable relationship is one. Anything that we leave an open door that's been contested in the courts, I don't think that we're going to finalise it properly. And the other one is to strive to provide provision for the likes of carers. And probably Joe would know that, but this was rushed through Dáil and Shannon, and very, very little discussion done on it, on the wording of the referendum. Because I did speak to a couple of senators regarding how to come down on this when I read that we're going to talk about it today. The word that the carers, I don't think it's going to provide for carers very, very much within if we change it. There is just a few words on it, Greg, that I'm going to have to read over and over again to say which way that I'm going to come down on. But it's looking, if what Deputy McDowell, he's coming out very, very strong on that if we pass the legislation or the amendment in its current form, that is open to legislation.
Joe, why was it apparently rushed through or guillotined or not allowed to be amended or language tweaked? Do you have any insight into that?
Not really. Well, I suppose it was supposed to be on the ballot paper a long time ago, and there was a lot of coming and going and toing and froing between the legal team, even within the Oireachtas as well, and obviously within the department. So it took a long time to get the wording right, and I think even Nicholas pointed out some of the independent senators, and the one independent Senator Tom Clonan feels it doesn't go far enough. So I think there was disappointment around that. But in relation to both our amendments, 39 to the 40, it's like one of the I'd be voting yes for both of them, and that's having informed myself. And even it is available online, and you just have to go onto the referendum commission. It's still quite technical, and there's a lot of to digest. But one of the issues I've had for a long number of years was the whole issue of the addition of durable family, like what is a family. And just to give, I've had loads of examples over the years, but I'll give you an example of one, Greg, where a widower at the moment, his wife died a couple of years ago. They got married in the eyes of the church in 1995, following an annulment through the church. But because the divorce referendum didn't happen to 1996, they were never recognised in the eyes of the state. So at this moment in time, this particular widower does not get a widower's pension, even though he was married to a woman who got an annulment.
But we've seen it proven in the court that he's entitled to a widow's pension. The O'Meara case uses current legislation to prove that he is entitled to a pension.
Yeah, well, it's interesting you raise that, because I have a parliamentary question down. The answer I'm getting back is not as clear cut as I would like it to be, but it is for the O'Meara case. It was the children were involved, so there's no children involved in this relationship. And I ran it by a few barristers. Look, there seems to be people willing to take it on, but it's that's one example. There's loads of other examples where it dealings, with single
and what's
mothers.
Interesting about that too is Flack. Flack actually funded and backed that case. Yet in this area, it's advocating for a no. I know it's a yes/no, which makes it even. And that's my point. The complexity of this, and as I say, Senator McDowell very clearly says, if in doubt, vote no. And I just wonder how that's going to be counteracted, because I have a number of questions that I'd like to put to you about that scenario. We can't do it now. That eventually probably we both have to concede that the courts will have to decide, and I think that's what's concerning and confusing people.
Yeah, and look, it's funny, I had a chat with Tom Clonan yesterday about it, and with a good chat, and obviously he's got a very personal situation with his own son, and I was given examples of the opposite happening with different people with disabilities that have their own independence now, but the end of our conversation, it was that the piece that's missing is a piece of legislation. So there's a lot, yes, is resting on a constitutional amendment, but a lot will rest on what laws will follow.
And that's what people are concerned about, because you have the likes of Michael McDowell suggesting that it could get very complicated in terms of family law when a relationship starts and ends, if two can run alongside each other. Pat O'Connor, your view, please.
I think I think partly it is people have become confused. I think a lot of people haven't even registered, or are only beginning to register this week, that there are two, they'll be asked to vote on two things, because calling it the family one and the care one, because those are so interwoven in people's minds that it's I suppose, I mean, the question for me is, does Michael McDowell, who's had 3 long opinion pieces in the Times in the past 3 weeks, does Michael McDowell, erudite and a great man as he is, does he represent the future face of Ireland? And I'm afraid my very clear answer is no. I am not comfortable with excluding basically 40% of children from being considered a family in our constitution. Single parents have a durable relationship with their children. If people vote no, they effectively exclude all that raft from the constitutional definition of a family. And I see the Constitution as about values. It is about what we value, what we see as the face for the future. And so I am voting on the first one, which is a white. Will be a white ticket, as I understand it. I am voting yes. I think what people are also not really recognising is that many things in the Constitution have had to be tested in law. So durable relationships will have to. Way back, right, contraception, there was a famous case way back, the McGee case, which was taken to test, what was the right to privacy. So durable relationship, yeah. Will have to be tested, but that's the Constitution.
Professor Pat O'Connor, thank you so much for your time today. It is always a pleasure, and I mean that most sincerely. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you, and I'll be voting yes for the second one too.
That's okay. Joe McHugh, thanks very much indeed. Have a great weekend. Take care of yourself.
You too, Greg, and your team, and Nicholas.
All right, bye-bye. And Nicholas, have a wonderful one. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, Greg.
All right,
all the
see
best.
you soon. All right,
Bye-bye.
Take care. Okay, back with the weather.
Choose life. Choose fun. Choose not sitting at home getting bored. Choose something better. Something really fun. Choose Fundamania. Coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl from March 1st. Choose regular, junior or family wristbands and enjoy some of Europe's top thrill rides. Choose fun for all ages. A legendary Fundamania event, 1st to the 17th of March. For details, see fundamania.co.uk.
On Business Matters this week, I'll look forward to Local Enterprise Week and also be hearing about how a Malaysian doctor set up the Medical Skin Clinic in Donegal town. So join me, Chris Ashmore, after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
Business Matters in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. For a career in financial governance, consider the Level 9 MA in Governance and IT in Financial Services. Call 9186206 or email donald.hannigan@atu.ie today.
Hold that door. Where are you going with all that gear? I'm applying for a community heritage grant. Maps, a scanner, night vision goggles? For the nocturnal animals. But you don't need all that stuff, do you? Not at all. All you need is a worthy project, but the grant covers so many heritage projects, you can never be too prepared. Well, good thing we're going up, so give your project a lift. Apply for a community heritage grant at heritagecouncil.ie/funding. Applications close March 25th. Supported by the Department of Housing, Local Government and Heritage.
For the first time in 4 years, Donegal play a National League fixture at Father Tierney Park in Ballyshannon this Sunday. Jim McGuinness's side will look to maintain their unbeaten run in Division 2 against Louth at the home of the Arua Club. Join the Highland team for full match commentary from the 2 o'clock throw-in. Highland's coverage of Donegal in Division 2 of the National Football League is brought to you by Highland Motors in Letterkenny. For a new 241, the full range of new Renault and Dacia cars and vans are on display and ready to test drive.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. You don't visit Liverpool for the weather, but it does rain gulls at Anfield. Fly to Liverpool daily with Ryanair. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, brighter weather will follow in the afternoon. Temperatures of 3 to 7 degrees. It will become breezy and blustery as a fresh to strong and gusty north to northeast winds develop. Snow ice warning is now ceased in Donegal. OK, we'll be back with Seamus Gunn answering your legal questions after the news and obituary notices.
Choose life. Choose fun. Choose not sitting at home getting bored. Choose something better. Something really fun. Choose Fundamania. Coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl from March 1st. Choose regular, junior or family wristbands and enjoy some of Europe's top thrill rides. Choose fun for all ages. A legendary Fundamania event, 1st to the 17th of March. For details, see fundamania.co.uk.
The Addams Family is coming to An Greenan Theatre. Join Gomez and Morticia in the hilarious musical comedy that will raise the dead, as well as your spirits. You'll be in stitches with the show that puts family first.
The intoxicating spell of the graveyard.
Letterkenny Musical Society's 23rd production, The Addams Family, on Greenan Theatre, Letterkenny, March the 5th to Saturday, March the 9th.
Rigor mortis!
Teagasc are holding a Dairy Beef 500 farm walk on Tuesday 5th of March at 2 p.m. on the farm of Gareth Peoples, Tullyannon, Carrigans. Topics include Dairy Beef 500, farm system and financials, calf management and feeding, spring grassland management and signpost and planning for silage and weed control. All welcome.
Wake up, wake up. It's Mattress Madness at Easy Living Furniture with up to 50% off all mattresses, pillows and mattress protectors with 0% interest-free finance available. Now is the perfect time to gift yourself a better night's sleep with the mattress of your dreams. Speak to one of our sleep specialists today. Massive mattress sale now on with all mattresses reduced in Easy Living Furniture. Crescent Retail Park or online at easylivingfurniture.co.uk.
Don't miss the BAFTA award-winning comedian Michael McIntyre's brand new show, Magnificent, at the SSE Arena Belfast on Friday the 31st of May 2024. As always, Highland Radio make it easy for you as we look after all your needs. We will provide luxury transfers, overnight stay at the Clayton Hotel Belfast on a B&B basis, your ticket to the show, shopping time in Belfast City Centre. For more information, go to the outlet at highlandradio.com or give us a call on 074 91 25000. Michael McIntyre in Belfast.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. A Donegal deputy says there is no light at the end of the tunnel in terms of a ceasefire in Gaza. The United Nations Security Council has called an urgent meeting after 112 people were reportedly killed during an aid delivery in Gaza. The Hamas-run health ministry has accused the Israeli army of shooting at people who were trying to get food during the delivery near Gaza City. However, the Israeli military insists civilians weren't targeted. Deputy Joe McHugh, speaking on this morning's 9 till noon show, fears the consequences of the ongoing unrest in the Middle East.
My real concern, obviously, the current concern and people dying, people being maimed and people being killed and murdered. We only have to look at the future, and I think there will be consequences for this international indecision, because with all that anger, all that pain, all that hurt, there's going to be consequences, and where does this end? And whatever effort needs to be done now is to try to bring a ceasefire as quickly as possible.
Questions have been raised over Donegal County Council's planning policy governing public infrastructure installations such as signs. It's as work is currently underway on Buncrana's shorefront to install a large sign commissioned by funding from Councillor Nicholas Crossan's Mayor Fund, which he claims was brought before members of the Inishowen Municipal District. The local authority says planning exemptions mean such items can be erected without public consultation. Councillor Jack Murray, however, believes the public deserve to have their say.
hugely prominent. It's 30 foot wide. Some people love it, others do not. What I think is it should be some level of public engagement when something as significant as this takes place. I think the likes of the tidy towns and other community groups should have their say. The public as a whole should have their say. As Mayor of Donegal, I hosted a public meeting on the shorefront just 2 years ago. I don't think the sign was ever mooted there, but yet it has gone ahead. So I would encourage people now to engage with the council, give their opinions on this, and we need to look at this in the future so that this doesn't happen again.
Well, Councillor Nicholas Crossan remains strong in his stance that councillors voted to give the sign the go-ahead.
I think it's a bit disingenuous for the councillors to say that they knew nothing about this. Paul Canning, Martin Farron, Martin McDermott, Johnny McGuinness all knew what they were voting for and voted for funding to erect this sign. That was last year as the minor tourism grant. Councillor Murray, it was sent to me, I don't do Facebook, it was sent to me that he knew absolutely nothing about it. And then he raised it on Monday. And I told him on Monday that he voted for it. And the engineer, Michael McFadden, told him that he voted for it.
The HSE is seeking to reassure people in Kilmacrennan that the same level of GP services will be provided in Milford. There's serious concern after the health centre in Kilmacrennan closed on January the 29th, with patients instead having to travel to Milford. The HSE has confirmed that an additional clinic room has been established in Milford Health Centre to facilitate patients who would previously have attended their appointments in Kilmacrennan. A bus service has been set up also to transfer patients from Kilmacrennan to Milford. The Agriculture Minister will meet his Northern Irish counterpart in Donegal later today. Ministers Charlie McConlogue and Andrew Moore are set to celebrate the announcement that the Irish grass-fed beef is being given the same special status as champagne. The PGI label means the world-class product is directly connected to a specific region. Motorists are urged to continue to take care on the roads this morning due to overnight snowfall. A standard yellow snow and ice warning was in place for Donegal but has now expired. Drivers are still being warned of difficult driving conditions in parts of the county. Alan O'Reilly from Carlow Weather says if you're in one of those areas affected, don't venture out unless you have to.
The biggest problem for motorists really is the changing conditions from one area to another. So as you're driving along your destination, it could be very different from where you started off, and as you're driving you may well come across line snow, and then obviously there is some areas where people are waking up to line snow, and if you don't need to travel with heavy snow on the ground, then it's best to stay at home.
Weather now cool today with a mix of rain, sleet and snow. Brighter, drier weather will follow this afternoon with highest temperatures of 3 to 7 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notices for this Friday morning, March the 1st. The death has taken place of Tony Gibbons Culdaff. Tony's remains are reposing at his home where you're welcome to pay your respects. Family time please from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Funeral Mass for Tony will take place on Sunday at 12 noon in St Mary's Church, Boken, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on culdaffparish.com. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu to the renal dialysis unit, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Hugh Doyle, Umracam, Buncrana. Hugh's remains are reposing at his sister Grace and Alex Sweeney's residence at Umracam, Buncrana. Funeral leaving there tomorrow afternoon at 12:30, travelling to St Mary's Church, Cockhill for 1 o'clock funeral mass with burial in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. House private from 11 o'clock to 10 o'clock please. And the death has occurred of Katrina Fullerton, 46 Castle Park, Buncrana, County Donegal. Katrina's remains are reposing at her home. Funeral tomorrow morning, leaving at 10 o'clock, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, donations if desired to iCare Buncrana, care of any family member. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
We'll wait for the bus, the train, or the lights to turn green. We'll wait for the weekend and we'll wait for the rain to stop. But when it comes to pain, Nobody wants to wait. That's why Nurofen Rapid Relief liquid capsules start working in just 7 minutes, with a formula that's absorbed faster than standard ibuprofen tablets. Choose Nurofen Rapid Relief liquid capsules and unleash the speed of liquid. Nurofen Rapid Relief maximum strength 400mg liquid capsules contain ibuprofen. For mild to moderate pain, always read the label.
And now, IMRO's 2023 Best Local or Regional News Programme, The Voice of the Northwest, the 9 till noon show with Greg Hughes.
Good morning to you. You're very welcome along to the 9 till noon show. Good morning if you've just joined us. Thanks for sticking with us if you've been around since 9. And we had an interesting conversation with Councillor Nicholas Crossan, Deputy Joe McHugh, Professor Pat O'Connor. We appreciate their time this morning. And thank you so much to all of you messaging in as well. I'll get to some of your comments very shortly after the bingo numbers. We'll be joined by Seamus Gunn of McLaughlin Gun and Company. So if you have a legal question, get them into us. We'll try and get an answer for you. Greg, Joe Biden giving a date for a ceasefire was like saying to Israel, you have a week and go in and kill as many as you can kill before that date. A free-for-all. I think that's it's an assessment one couldn't argue with. Hearing a lot of Russian prisoner of conscience Alexis Navalny on news today, but nothing about a certain Mr. Burke languishing in an Irish cell for his beliefs, and you talk about double standards. It's an interesting conflation there, Enoch Burke and Alexis Navalny, but we appreciate it. The thing is the general consensus seems to be that Alexis Navalny was the victim of a murder, whereas Mr. Burke could leave prison this afternoon if he purged his contempt. Should we take in Palestinian people who are facing unbelievable genocide and terrible situations or conditions by invading forces, and the world has turned a blind eye to blatant genocide? What's the difference to what happened in the Warsaw ghettos in Poland in 1940? Why are Ukrainians treated so differently? They're not in Europe and welcomed here with open arms with everything at hand. Shame on Ireland, especially in Europe, who are putting millions into Israel to support the ethnic cleansing that's going on there. Immigration 100% became a money cow. One of two in the county took charge of locating immigrants, picking and choosing. Money-orientated government had no plan, just bring in even sleep on the street. It doesn't matter. There's no point Joe Biden saying this now. It's too late, believes another listener. Why is there no discussion? We did discuss. Sorry, this came in before we got to the situation in the Middle East. A question as to why we weren't talking about it. What planet is Joe McHugh living on? Over half of the so-called refugees in Letterkenny are walking the streets at night and day, and they're not from Ukraine. He should stop his spoofing. He didn't identify people coming in here as simply being from Ukraine, in fairness to him. Why is there so many Ukrainian and other foreign men being allowed here? It's the policies that the government signed up to is the answer to that question. Whether now the question from there is that the right policy, and so on and so forth. I live a mile from the school near the town. Our children never got or needed a bus to school, but we have Syrians here getting a bus for the last 5 years, about a mile from the school. All the local children do not get a bus. Why? Who in the Refugee Council is responsible for housing refugees to decide where they go? I'm not sure the answer to that question. That sign in Buncrana, an absolute eyesore where it is. Lovely sign, but not where it is. Quite a bit of people actually talking about that new sign, the new 30-foot sign. I'll try and get a picture of it up for you. It's on the shore front. People aren't really necessarily opposed to the sign, but believe its location is a little bit off the mark. Others like it. Questions have been raised over Donegal County Council's planning policy governing public infrastructure installations such as signs. It says work is currently underway on Buncrana shorefront to install a large sign commissioned by funding from Councillor Nicholas Crossan's Mayor Fund, which he claims was brought before members of the Inishowen Municipal District. The local authority says planning exemptions mean such items can be erected without public consultations. Caller says the hotels are making a fortune, so how is that the government's fault? Another, she's exactly right. I think if they were not using hotels to accommodate, it would be not as big an issue. It's destroying tourism. Darren's a regular viewer on Facebook, and Darren, I'm disappointed that you don't realise the situation. He says media like Highland knew this referendum was coming up for how long and decided last week to talk about it. Taking mother out of the Constitution on Mother's Day. This government is evil. Well, Darren, we not by choice, but we firstly had to wait on the wording, and then we had to wait on the date of the referendum before we started discussing it in earnest, because otherwise we'd be talking about something we don't know exactly what the wording might be or exactly when it might be, and also hard to discuss until we knew exactly what position all political parties were taking. And they really, in fairness, it was actually really quite recently, less than 2 weeks ago or about 2 weeks ago, that Sinn Féin decided their policy. So, we're also in the same boat as everybody out there as well. We have to wait and see, well, what are we talking about? What are we voting on? When are we voting? And what are the positions of the various parties and individuals and NGOs, etc. So that's exactly why we only discussed it when we started discussing it, because that's when we knew what it was and when it was happening. I want to play a couple of requests, if that's okay, just before we take a break. If your comment hasn't been read out, we will get to it. And I want to mention a very, very special lady. Her name is Susie McDermott. She's from Moville and celebrated her 90th birthday this week. An avid listener to the show and still enjoying life. Thanks a lot. So, Susie, from me and the team, all at Highland and all of our listeners, a very happy 90th birthday. And thank you so much for listening to the show and supporting the show. And also, we just want to pass on these kind regards too from Seamus, Teresa and the kids, Aisling, Fergal and Ella in Cooley, Moville. So, Susie, have a wonderful birthday week. I'm sure you've been treated like the queen that you are. And thank you so much for listening to the programme. Anne McDermott's in Maharabeg, wishing you a very happy birthday, Anne, from Margaret and family in Burnfoot. And we love playing requests here on the programme. So if you have someone in your life that you want us to play a request for, please feel free to get in touch. And if they listen to the show, all the better, because then they'll be able to hear the request. Radio, Seamus Gunn joining us shortly.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday the 1st of March. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S5. It's game number 9. The numbers are 82, 64, 65, 2, 8, 66, 13, 6, 25, and finally 59. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com. Save on calving and lambing essentials at Homeland. Calf stomach tube now $14.99. Save €5. Nutrius calf jackets buy 2 for €50. Moocall calving sensor now €299. Save €30. And save 10% on the FlexiThin Classic waterproof jacket and trousers. All this and much more. Save in store and online at homeland.ie with nationwide delivery available. Offers available until March 31st.
Imagine a device so innovative you're...
Accept cookies?
There is a device so forward-thinking you...
Accept cookies?
A device that is so modern you...
Accept cookies?
Now imagine a technology where cookies don't get in the way of your advertising. Welcome to radio. Advertising that's cookie-free. Visit radiocenterireland.ie to see what radio can do for your product or brand.
Choose life. Choose fun. Choose not sitting at home getting bored. Choose something better. Something really fun. Choose Fundamania.
Coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl from March 1st.
Choose regular, junior or family wristbands and enjoy some of Europe's top thrill rides. Choose fun for all ages. A legendary Fundamania event, 1st to the 17th of March. For details, see fundamania.co.uk.
Rightio, welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio, and great to have on the programme now Seamus Gunn from McLaughlin Gunn and Co. Ramelton and Letterkenny. Seamus, how are you keeping this Friday?
Morning, Greg. Oh, great to be here. Yeah, and first day of spring too. So
that's what they say. There's different firsts, like meteorological and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, hopefully the weather follows the calendar. Before we get into questions from our listeners, I just wanted you to help make sense of what's happening in the United States. And people might go, well, what difference does that make? Well, Whomever's going to be in the White House, it's going to have, it always does, and will have not only significant consequences for the American people, but also for the globe, because they are still the superpower. Donald Trump looks likely to be Joe Biden's adversary. But he's still in wrangles with the courts. So what is happening over there at the moment in terms of the courts and Trump?
Yeah, well, I think you've hit the nail on the head. You said it does matter. When you see the saber rattling going on the last day or two over in the East, and Putin, the threats that are being inferred against the West, and the USA being sort of the bearer of the flag for the great free world, we call it, it does matter quite a lot. And where it's at now, it's quite intriguing, because we're going towards November, sort of the deadline, and it looks very likely, I don't think anyone will say otherwise, the obvious Biden v. Trump. But in the meantime, you have Trump on all these issues that have to be got over. And he has a strategy in place, which he has probably had in place for some time, because he has, every time that he's been knocked with charges, and there are so many now, but there's 4 sets of heavy criminal charges pending, as it were. Every time he's been knocked, he's fought back again, and he's used it, saying that they're all politically motivated, and he's galvanized his support always. And in fact, you could say it has nearly helped him. Well, it certainly has helped him in his own camp. But now they're getting nearer. There's issues coming up fairly quickly. So what they seem to have done is they have their tactics now is based on, let's get this to maybe June with regard to appeals. And it seems to be the custom that once you get beyond that, there's unlikely to be any trials of a pending president or a potential president between that and November. So that might give him a free run in. So how does he get there? Like at the moment, he has trials coming up. The first was the big conspiracy one was scheduled for the 4th of March. Now, only in the last 2 days, they've come up with the immunity case, which is a dead rubber in real terms. It's already been decided, I think, twice by the District Court and then the Supreme Court, Columbia. I think it was 3-0 there. But they have managed now to get that put in to the 22nd of April, so as to kick back the conspiracy trial, which was due to start on the 4th of March. So that in a way is actually a win. That's a case that's going to be lost. But but regardless of that fact, the point about it is it pushes it out further. That's only for submissions. There won't even be a decision maybe for a month or two. And here we are then, we could be looking into, as I say, the month of June. And parallel and running with that, they come up with this other strategy. Whenever, and I was skeptical about this, like from a point of view of the people that were trying to prevent him to stand on the ticket. I never believed in that case at all. The ballot eligibility, if you want to call it, and that they ran that in 3 different states, in Colorado and I think it was Illinois, maybe, and Maine. And basically, they decided, based on some amendment to the Constitution way back, that if there was an allegation of being involved in insurrection, you couldn't stand on the ballot paper. So they ruled against him on that in them 3 states. And I don't think that they are critical to him at all. But in any event, again, he has appealed all that. And that was heard at the beginning of, or maybe 2 weeks back, on the 8th of February. And it sounded very, very skeptical as to whether the Supreme Court would hold with them on that. And I doubt that very much. I would consider that unconstitutional, because he hasn't actually been convicted of anything. There's accusations there, but he's a free man, and he hasn't a blemish on his character as of yet with regard to convictions. That is so in a criminal court. So I think that's going to be a win for him. That might give him a little bit of a boost. So he has the wind in his sails in that respect. And the way it's looking now, I wouldn't be surprised if there's no prosecutions heard before the court. There's one other one sitting out there just to finish. And of course, it's so complex. There's the other one then in New York, the hush money case. And that's the only one now to watch for next month, if you like, because that's to start around about the last week, 24th or 25th of March. And that's the Stormy Daniels case. And that's still alive at the moment. So if you watch the spot and see what to do to get past that, because he wouldn't want to be involved in a commitment time-wise, going into that at the end of March. That would bring him right into April and beyond, and it would distract. And that's probably what Biden's camp's hoping for, that will get him involved in a court situation to distract from the momentum he's now building up.
But I mean, like, he got himself in a position now at this point that every time he's accused of something, it actually almost strengthens his support base. Just one quick one on that. If he is successful in becoming president, can he pardon himself? Does all this go away?
Well, I'm quite sure that's what he hopes will happen. And there will be a significant constitutional issue if he does attempt to do that. It gives him another 4 years grace in any event. He can't be tried during that period. So that'll be pushed out, and then they'll be probably talking about time lapses, and maybe, statute of limitations might come into play in some. He might change prosecutors during his time. He'll do a reshuffle that's likely to suit him. Will he go as far as pardon himself? I think that would be extreme and would be subject to challenge. But he in the Supreme Court at the moment, 3 of the appointees, and it's Conservative, are his alone. So you might say he's got 3 there that
3 in the bank.
At least might be a sympathetic hearing at least, but that's yet to be played out. That's on the presumption, of course, that he would get that far and get elected. And is that going to happen? The middle ground is where we mentioned this before. I think some time back when the election, we were just looking forward. I think maybe it might be a year past. The middle ground is where it's at, and and what will happen is that the middle ground are going to have to be swayed one way or the other.
Just in relation to that, though, because the middle ground seems to be shifting a little bit, or even, those that are very loyal to being a Democrat or Republican. And I'm the least ageist person you will ever meet. But President Joe Biden had said his annual medical examination had gone well on Wednesday, and he joked that doctors thought he looked too young. Even as scrutiny increased over his 81 years of age ahead of November's US election. 3/4 of voters, including half of Democrats, say they've concerns about President Biden's mental and physical health. This, according to the latest national NBC News poll. And Biden's own campaign now is bringing age into it and questioning, the wherewithal of Trump and increasingly highlighting Trump's own rhetorical slips and what have you. I mean, the age is going to be a factor in this election. Trump himself, he's 78, 79. Joe Biden is 81. And as I say, I'm the least ageist person you'll ever meet, but even the top clip this week from Joe Biden talking about a ceasefire in Israel, stumbled through it and sort of contradicted himself through that. I mean, is age going to be a factor in voting in this election? Because both of them are, one's pushing 80, the other over 80.
You're right about the age. Well, I had Trump at 77, 78 maybe, but and Biden at 81. So there's not a lot in it. And to be fair, though, and to be fair to both of them, when you get to that stage of life, and I agree with you completely about ageism. I don't support anything with regard to that. But when you get to a stage in life, it's actually just natural that you might have some issues with immediate recall of time, dates, and place. There's no doubt about that. The problem that arises here is there's no other game in town at the moment, and that's a slip up on both the Republicans and the Democrats, that they don't have someone who will appeal to the younger generation coming on, the next generation, as it were. And they're both relying on these two, with all due respects, elder statesmen
that's very respectful, in fairness.
to fight out the election. And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's actually fair to the voting public, but that's what they're going to be left with. However, on this point, yes, ageism made, but if you spin it, the ageism would apply to one as much as the other. In my view, that's only fair. You can't, a 3 or 4 year gap between them is really nothing. So I think park that. As I said, I think it's natural and understandable that people coming in to that stage of their life won't just have immediate on the button recall of time, dates, and places. And again, that's very understandable. But this election, and we'll see as this borne out maybe, and you can remind me of it, this election, I believe, will come down to who is liked the least, so that it's going to be a negative voter that'll get them over the line. So on the basis of, well, I like him the least, so we'll go for it.
There's a word for that, and I can't remember.
Rather than a positive endorsement.
There's a word for that, but I can't remember what it is.
A negative vote that'll bring in the winner. And that's not a contradiction.
No, not at all. We'll be back with questions for Seamus. Your questions after these 2 minutes.
Choose life. Choose fun. Choose not sitting at home getting bored. Choose something better. Something really fun. Choose Fundomania. Coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl from March 1st. Choose regular, junior or family wristbands and enjoy some of Europe's top thrill rides. Choose fun for all ages. A legendary Fundomania event, 1st to the 17th of March. For details, see fundomania.co.uk.
On Business Matters this week, I'll look forward to Local Enterprise Week and also be hearing about how a Malaysian doctor set up the medical skin clinic in Donegal town. So join me, Chris Ashmore, after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
Business Matters in association with the Faculty of Business at ATU Donegal. For a career in financial governance, consider the Level 9 MA in Governance and IT in Financial Services. Call 9186206 or email donald.hannigan@atu.ie today.
It's back. RSVP Country Magazine, packed full of fantastic features and some of your favourite country music stars. This issue, we catch up with Derek Ryan as he celebrates 10 years on the country roads, and with a new album on the way, there's no sign of him slowing down. Cleona Hagan opens up about balancing work and married life ahead of going on the road, and Louisiana man Robert Mizell drops by to share his excitement about becoming a granddad. Plus, your chance to win a weekend break to country in Belfast this March. RSVP Country, on sale now at all usual newsagents.
This Mother's Day, let the one you love unwrap Lindor. Irresistibly smooth melting chocolate from the Lindt Master Chocolatier. Give the gift of bliss this Mother's Day. You choose the moment, we'll provide the bliss. Lindor from Lindt.
Okay, it is the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio on this Friday, the 1st of March. Coming up, we have That's Entertainment with Michael and Fanula a little later on. We're going to be chatting to the new head of Letterkenny Chamber as well. Looking forward to that. But currently, we are in the company of Seamus Gunn, and we've got some questions for you, Seamus. Good morning. Can you ask why my daughter couldn't make an appointment for me with a solicitor to make a will? She was told I would have to call into the office first with proof of identity.
Well, I think that it's up to every firm to set their own requirements for when engaging with clients and when they're going to come in to make serious decisions about their estates and how they would like to have them dealt with after their day. I think it's perfectly understandable as well on the basis of under legislation, and we're very heavily regulated solicitors in general, and that under money laundering legislation, etc., you have to have photographic ID. You'll know if you're going into a bank to open an account, the difficulties, and you have to have proof of address. That's all standard. But what I would say is this, and I think this is important, when someone is interested in making their arrangements, I don't think it's entirely appropriate. There are certain exceptions in certain circumstances, I've no doubt about that. But I don't think it's entirely appropriate for a third party, a family member, to be making the contact initially. We have to be very, very aware, and antennae have to be up with regard to, again, influences and undue influences, and whether other family members are involved or not. So it's a matter for the individual themselves, I believe, to make that decision and to make that call, and then whatever the requirements of the firm that are taking the matter on.
I think
obviously follow them. But it would be, to me, it's standard practice.
I think both the daughter and the father have the best of intentions, and there's trust there and what have you, but they have to maybe put themselves in the space that you talk of, where if someone were trying to be exploited or there were competing priorities amongst siblings or whatever, and then those checks and balances start to make an awful lot of sense. It's clearly not an issue for these two. but I suppose measures have to be put in place to protect those that might try and exploit us as a situation.
But you have it. Yes, you have it there. And remember, like that, and it can cause people some difficulty or issues because they believe they're being excluded or that, or maybe not trusted, acting with the best will in the world. Pardon the pun, but. It doesn't. That's not the point. The point is it's the individual themselves' decision. And if somebody was, let's just take it out a little bit here. Say if someone said, "Oh, Mom or Dad, you have an arrangement. You should be making arrangements. I'm going to ring the solicitor now, and I'll get that sorted for you." And then the person themselves are not really that keen. They'll say, "I should go ahead." Well, sure, if you go ahead, so be it. Now, I would consider that a bit of influence. That's not really appropriate. The party who's fully compos mentis makes a decision, and they get on to their representative to attend and make an appointment to come in and make the arrangements. If the other side of this, like the firm who's receiving the call, how do you know when somebody's making a phone call? If they say, well, it's on behalf of such and such, and it's a matter as serious as putting their estate in order, and someone's ringing in. So, sir, there is no way of vetting that for the receiver of that call, without them then saying, well, would you get your parent or sister or brother to phone in, and we will need a proof of ID as well, because they're strangers. So that's logical, I think. It could offend, as I say, because people are maybe acting in good faith and goodwill and all that, and I've no doubt about that. But if you take a step back from it, from the other side of the desk, say, well, this individual, even if they're being interviewed with regard to their arrangements, they would usually, they're insistent upon them seeing them alone. And sometimes family members think they should be sitting in on that, and I don't believe that's appropriate either. No.
I do have to agree with you, and it kind of it's almost like a welfare check. It reminds me a little bit of, someone going into a chemist for a particular drug, and the chemist taking them to one side and saying, "Look, just do you still need this? There's not a dependency there." It can offend you, but it is kind of like a welfare check. I know it's a strange analogy, but that's the way I would see it too. I live in a semi-detached house. My neighbours are not putting a bin out. They're hoarding household rubbish outside, and then they only get rid of it every few months, whatever means. So what rights do I have? They don't say now whether these are privately owned houses or if they're social housing. I'm not sure if that will sway your answer one way or other, but just clarify, they don't say. But what?
Yeah. It's look at. It's very, very difficult. I'm assuming that they're not owned by the local authority. I'm just assuming that. And if they are, then they might have a role to play with regard to, because they're the actual owners of it. And if the others are tenants, well, there might be something that you could be looking towards, environmental health issues or matters that come under that heading, to bring in someone to actually be of assistance, as it were. But let's say that that's not the case, and it's private semi-D, and you have the forecourt, a small area, forecourt each, and then you have one party. Obviously, there's an issue with the bins, etc. Now, these matters, they can grow wings, and they shouldn't do, if you have reasonable discourse and a reasonable relationship with your neighbour that you can talk this through with. If you don't, then some sort of mediator might be necessary. But in regards to the law and where they stand, of course, they could attend and give instructions to their own solicitor to write with regard to the health issues that are fairly obvious and that could arise with the leaving out of bins for prolonged periods. They could then, if they and request them, but a solicitor's letter is never that gentle, to get. But anyway, it could be requested to try to conform, a bit more regularly with the disposal of the rubbish. There could then be a question, if they don't, that, well, this is a nuisance now. It's becoming a nuisance to the client, to the person, and it's becoming a health potential hazard. And if that's the case, then the individual would have a right to raise an action in it against them for damages and seek an order from the court, actually, to as it were, injunct them to obviously deal with it in a more regular manner as such, and that would be in keeping maybe with the rest of the estate and the houses in it. Now that is a bit of a sledgehammer to crack a nut, I have to say that. But that if you're talking about your legal redress, that's really where you're going, and you'd get it, maybe a survey done and all that, and you get an expert to come in to evaluate, the health issues and hazards, and then you'd be going down an action under maybe the heading of nuisance. It would be very, very. And
costly. You still have to live beside them.
Oh, well, I'm coming to that, so I am. Yeah, you remember when I referenced, there's not such thing as a pleasant solicitor's letter. It's rare. So once that letter goes out, it's more, the genie is out of the bottle to some degree. It's very difficult then to get back on side. So I'm going to revert back to where I started and say, discourse, common sense, some type of chat. A discussion. If they can't talk about it, maybe agree to just get somebody else to talk between them each and moving on from there. Because when they come out and when the dust settles and you might get your case, you might win your case, there's a point being made. Doesn't seem that unreasonable. But when it would all settle, you're still coming out and you're going to meet that neighbour in the semi-D next door. Mm-hmm. And you'd like to be walking into your house and coming out in the morning with a smile on your face.
Yeah, exactly. Seamus, can I ask you, we have a second home which is only in one of our names. Should we put it in both names? Would there be a large cost, or would leaving it in the other person's name be a better option?
Well, they could make arrangements leaving it to the other party. No problem with that, and that's going back to making their own will and bequeathing it. In that situation, that will then has to be probated, and there will be certain fees involved in that in order to then get an assent prepared by the executor to sign over the property and get it registered. So that is certainly a route. Maybe a simpler route between spouses. They could transfer it into joint names now. And the advantage of that is that if it's between spouses, you shouldn't attract stamp duty. And that's a good advantage.
A spouse, and just in law, how is a spouse defined?
Well, that our cohabitant or partner registered. So it's in that situation, it would apply to both those. But the stamp duty point is a very it's a big discount because they're not pay stamp duty on a house would be running at 1%. And the other advantage, but there'd be legal fees involved, and then with registration. But the other advantage is that as a joint tenancy, if one passes away, the other one automatically owns it with the production of a death cert, rather than having to go through down the probate route.
Okay.
So that's well worth considering. Well worth considering.
A caller says, and we just have to use the language that they put in here. If your wife steals 50k out of the joint account and puts it in her own account, what do I do? Thanks. Now, as they've framed it, I mean, that's potentially a criminal matter. I don't know if it's a private matter or civil matter, but you're the man that will tell us that. But they say 50k's gone out of the joint account and gone into her account. What can they do?
Well, yeah. Well, we won't be Solomon on it, Greg, but I'll give you my view on it. I don't, on the face of it, see it as a criminal matter.
Okay.
The point that it is a joint account, the presumption, the first immediate presumption is that it is jointly owned. And that doesn't mean it's 50-50, by the way. If it's jointly owned, it means it's 100% each, either or.
Interesting.
And either one then could go in and withdraw the entire sum.
All right.
Now, this is not going to do anything to the relationship. It's not helping the relationship if this has happened. And it's something that if the relationship deteriorated to such a degree that you're having to go down the family law route and seeking some redress from the courts, maybe divorce or otherwise, or judicial separation, the court could look at this and take it into account whenever they're making a decision on the split of assets, for example. But the individual withdrawing it in the first place, if it's a joint account, and either can sign for it and one goes in and accesses it, that's between themselves. And I think it would become more of a civil matter than a criminal matter. Now, there are some exceptions where if it's another name added for convenience, where someone is moving on in life and they want to have somebody to be able to do the banking for them, and there's a mandate signed to that effect, to the effect that that's their role, but the individual still really is the owner of that money. That's something slightly different. But the way that this question is phrased, it seems to me that this is a joint account, and if it's a joint account, the presumption is it's 100% owned by either or. And if that's the situation, you have definitely, you're looking at a deterioration in the relationship to a large degree, and that's what I think is really hinted at here. And I could see that being very relevant and pertinent if the matter went down the family law court route.
Okay. Seamus Gunn of McLaughlin Gunn and Co. Ramelton and Letterkenny, online as well, Seamus.
Yes, Greg, yeah. If you just check out gun.ie, DonegalSolicitors.ie, we should be there 24/7.
Brilliant. And what's the history of that map behind you there? Inishowen looks absolutely massive.
Yeah, that is, and it's just a very, very, very antique map. It's been there for some time, and there are only 3 or 4 different the areas of the peninsula on it. So that's how we haven't really dated it, but it's one of the little quirks of this place.
Yeah, indeed. I like it. That's a bit of history there. All right, Seamus, chat to you really soon. Thanks so much. Really do appreciate your time. Seamus Gunn there of McLaughlin Gunn and Co. Ramelton and Letterkenny. Your legal questions, as many as we could get through, answered for you there. Right, let's take a short break.
Choose life. Choose fun. Choose not sitting at home getting bored. Choose something better. Something really fun. Choose Fundamania. Coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl from March 1st. Choose regular, junior or family wristbands and enjoy some of Europe's top thrill rides. Choose fun for all ages. A legendary Fundamania event, 1st to the 17th of March. For details, see fundamania.co.uk.
The Groom's Room at Evolve Clothing in the Letterkenny Retail Park has the best value and selection in suiting for your wedding day.
Wake up, wake up. It's Mattress Madness at Easy Living Furniture with up to 50% off all mattresses, pillows and mattress protectors. With 0% interest-free finance available, now is the perfect time to gift yourself a better night's sleep with the mattress of your dreams. Speak to one of our sleep specialists today. Massive mattress sale now on with all mattresses reduced in Easy Living Furniture. Presently at Retail Park or online at easylivingfurniture.co.uk.
Do you need a little extra help staying in your home? At Bluebird Care, we offer a wide variety of QMark approved personalised home care services across Donegal. And our fully trained and committed staff will always meet your care needs with kindness, compassion and dignity. To get your personal home care assessment plan, visit bluebirdcare.ie or call our care team today on 07491 29562 and bring care home.
It's all kicked off at Brian McCormick Sports with new football boots in FG or SG. Try the new Adidas Predator in classic black, red, white. Puma King boots in many options from only $49.99 in adult sizes. Match it up with shorts and socks, gloves and gum shields. Click on bmcsports.ie.
A Highland Radio weather update with Ireland West Airport. Time to book that business trip to London. Fly daily to London Stansted and Luton with Ryanair and London Heathrow with Aer Lingus. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, so cold today with a mix of rain, sleet and snow at first. That's pretty much spread eastwards or southerly at this stage. Early afternoon, some hail and isolated thunderstorms are possible. Brighter, drier weather will follow in the afternoon. Temperatures 3 to 7 degrees. It'll become breezy and blustery as a fresh to strong and gusty north to northeast winds develop. Okay, so it's time to welcome into studio and congratulate Claire McDonough, co-owner of La Maison Interior Design Studio, as Letterkenny Chamber of Commerce new president. Good morning to you, and as I say, congratulations.
Thank you, Greg. Lovely to be here.
And a lovely honour for you, I'd imagine. It's a chamber. It's an organisation that has grown and continues to grow, and it's moving forward and modernising and all that type of stuff. And as I say, it must be a great personal honour to be elected the president.
It is. It's lovely, and I suppose I've been on the chamber quite a while. That's the way our chamber works. You know, you don't come in the door and get straight into the hot seat. You know, you do your time. You participate on the council. So that means you get to know the other members really well. So when it comes around that the members actually nominate you, it really is a great honour because you have their confidence and, you know, taken over from your fabulous Fionnuala. Has, you know, I know I have big shoes to fill there. Fionnuala has been exceptional, so it was lovely to be presented the chain by her yesterday.
You've been in or on the Chamber Council since 2017. Has much changed over the last 6 years? I mean, obviously there's been a lot of forced change because we've been through so many ups and downs, but do you see the role of the Chamber having changed or developed over that period of time?
Hugely, to be honest, and I think that's down to a lot of different factors, but I think our Chamber has the things we do really well are the community civic engagement. We've always done that well, but I think, you know, as time has moved on and COVID was, you know, a huge challenge, the Chamber has also become extremely professional. We have a fantastic team now in our office with Tony and Anne-Louise and Marie. We have dedicated the resource that is Marie to membership growth. So our membership has grown enormously. Even in 2023, we have 47 new members, so we're now at 300 members, which is fantastic. And some of those are actually outside Letterkenny, some of the larger employers. So, you know, our whole modus operandi is that we're the voice of business in Donegal. So everything we do is about growing that. So the Chamber has definitely, even in 2023, we have hit a lot of very big targets, biggest St. Patrick's Day parade ever. Our Shop LK has been blown out of the park, quite frankly, at 5.7 million worth of purchases last year. And then on top of that, we have 21 new Shop LK members as well. So on all the factors and all those baselines, we're definitely going from strength to strength.
And this is this is not in any slight on those that went before, but and it may only be my perception, and you can contradict me, of course. I get the impression that its lobbying voice has become stronger and more structured, and you know. Quite a lot of strategy to it as well, and trying to get the right ears at the right times. Is that a fair observation?
That's a fair assessment, actually, because in 2018, 2019, we actually began to look at our strategy. That was one of the things that I personally undertook for the Chamber. So one of the things we looked at where we spent our time as a Chamber, you know, which were the events that took a lot of our time, a lot of effort, and then which, you know, we tried to show that alongside or illustrate that alongside the areas where we thought, well, what are we actually about as a Chamber? And lobbying is first and foremost the number one thing. So what that did was we were spending an awful lot of time on, you know, events or projects that maybe weren't around the strategic lobbying voice. So we definitely took, I would say, a very concerted look at that and made a concerted effort to say, right, we need to rebalance that this is really important. We need to put more planning around our strategy and our lobbying voice. So we have upped the game in that. We now have what we think is an annual visit to the Dáil to visit our own members, but also other TDs as well. We definitely much stronger on our strategic alliances, you know, our memorandum of understanding with Derry Chamber. We have also put a lot of emphasis around, you know, the whole idea of the North City region. And, you know, I suppose there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of things moving now, like the A5, different things, and Letterkenny Chamber is now around that table where the voice
and it has a respected voice as well too. So in other words, if you're around the table, you're representing a big cohort of people.
Absolutely.
And has representing your members in terms of hearing them, listening to them, understanding what their concerns are, what their sentiment is, has that improved as well, do you think, over time?
Hugely, because again, in terms of our reorganisation since 2018, we now have set subcommittees, our permanent subcommittees. One of them is around that membership and research and development. So our member engagement is hugely important. So we've upped our game there in terms of the members. We're very responsive to the type of events that they would like say, for example, the most recent one we had was e-tendering. Very, very important, very of the moment. So we'll respond to members if there's a need there. We'll also try and look at clusters of members and what that particular sector needs would be. But equally, and you've mentioned sentiment there, for the last 3 years now, we have conducted our business sentiment survey. So we actually take the temperature with Donegal businesses and we widen that out actually further than our members. You don't even have to be a member of the Chamber. But what that gives us, I suppose, is a really good idea of what's going on locally. And we're committed to doing that. So we do that 3 times a year, and then we publish those findings. So we have a very good picture now annually. Everything from what the concerns of businesses are in relation to it could be, what Brexit used to be the issue, and as we've moved on and that's kind of settled a little, now the issues are infrastructure, housing, staff retention, etc.
Yeah, exactly, because the challenges for a lot of businesses in Letterkenny now are almost, the area becoming a victim of its success.
Absolutely.
In terms of housing availability for attracting staff with other markets competing for them, access to childcare, stuff that really is essential that's in place for a business to thrive and to retain staff, because staff retention and
extremely important.
It's really important.
Extremely important, yeah. And those are the issues now that, because we are defining our strategic role much more clearly, those issues that people wouldn't think are bread and butter chamber issues actually are very pertinent, very important. So having that, I suppose, that really good relationship I have with Donegal County Council and other stakeholders to bring those issues of concern for business, those are the relationships we have spent a lot of time working on in the last couple of years, and now we are around the table, and that's a great testament to everybody who's worked really hard in the chamber in the last 4 or 5
everything
years.
We've talked about puts extra pressure though on the face of the chamber, i.e. you, a lot of meetings, a lot of travel. You're well aware of it, obviously, as a vice chair and someone involved in the restructuring and have been there for 2017. But maybe the general public might not be quite aware as how busy a year it actually is in terms of different appointments that you have to make, different things, people you have to press the flesh with.
That's it, and that's part of the reason our succession planning is so good in the chamber. You're not hoisted into the seat right away. You get to see how it works, what the pressures are, and put I suppose just mechanisms in place so that you can actually do that. But what I would say is that our chamber team are excellent. Tony, Anne-Louise and Marie are fantastic support to the whoever's in the role, and then generally our chamber council are fantastic. You know them all; they've all been in here one time or another. But there's very much a collaborative, collegiate experience, and that really helps.
And sort of because of the restructuring and because of the way it's been set up and the people that have been brought on board, it's kind of future-proofed to some extent in that the direction of travel is growth, right?
Absolutely.
So broadening representation, broadening membership, focusing on certain issues and all that type of stuff. So as I say, to some extent, the future is laid out and it's really, really positive. So, but with that in mind, of course, you still are the president of it. So what do you want to sort of see happen through your tenure?
Well, for the next year, I suppose I did say this recently, that I feel that it's a really exciting time to be in Letterkenny. I think there's a lot happening. The Alpha and Beta buildings broke ground yesterday. There's the announcement on the A5 is finally we have positive news, we're moving forward. So there's a lot of green shoots there. There's a lot of things happening, regeneration, that I think we can be very excited about what's happening. That's not to say that we're not aware of the pinch points at the moment and the obstacles that the town has. But in the next year, I'd love to see us strengthen that lobbying voice. We have a lot of really, really exciting ideas around membership engagement and those membership events to make sure that the chamber is really relevant for anyone in business of any size. And I say this all the time, whether you're a one-person organisation or the larger, whether you're based in the town, outside of the town, doesn't matter what sector, the chamber is here for you.
Just in relation to that and in terms of marketing and what have you, is the conversation being had about, we are the Letterkenny Chamber, but we are a county-wide chamber. We're growing here. We've got people maybe making inquiries from all over the county saying, look, I want a piece of that action. I mean, will we, do you think, arrive at a point where it won't be sort of constrained by the language of Letterkenny Chamber, that the language actually becomes more representative of the membership? Or is that a complication?
It's not a complication. I think we're there already, in that I think everybody agrees that Letterkenny, is the centre of business in Donegal.
Well, centre of the universe, that's what you think.
It is. But I think a stronger Letterkenny is a stronger Donegal. And it is, it is the hub. It has a lot of the large employers. But I do think that if Letterkenny's doing well, the whole county's doing well. So I think that's quite important. But I think you're right in terms of the footprint of the chamber is wider now, because we want to take account and include particularly any businesses who find that strategic voice is important to them, then they should be included and be part of the chamber. So most certainly that's really important. And we are the only affiliated chamber to Chambers Ireland in the county. So for us, it's about growing that voice. It's not about excluding people.
Yeah, of course not. No, I know that would never be the motivation, of course. Your term's a year.
A year.
Okay. Do you have a vice yet? Is that person?
That will be decided at our first meeting
Do you get
in 2
to
weeks'
pick?
time.
Do you get to pick? No.
There's been a bit of horse trading going
Has
on.
there?
I'll not lie.
Right,
I'll not
okay,
lie. No,
right,
not
okay.
at all.
So if I got my papers in now, I'm still in with a chance.
You're a bit late. Sorry, Greg.
Well, listen, we wish you, and we'll look forward to talking to you over the course of the year. As I say, it's, I imagine it's a great personal honour to be elevated to the president of the Letterkenny Chamber of Commerce, particularly given its status now. It's going to be a busy year. We look forward to touching base with you over the course of that year. And thank you so much for calling up, Claire.
Thank you,
to
Greg.
chat to
A
us.
pleasure as always. Thank you.
All right, Claire McDonough, Letterkenny Chamber of Commerce, new president and, of course, co-owner of La Maison Interior Design Studio.
Choose life. Choose fun. Choose not sitting at home getting bored. Choose something better. Something really fun. Choose Fundamania. Coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl from March 1st. Choose regular, junior or family wristbands and enjoy some of Europe's top thrill rides. Choose fun for all ages. A legendary Fundamania event, 1st to the 17th of March. For details, see fundamania.co.uk.
B&S Credit Union, your money's friend. Helping dreams come true from start to end. For renovations, weddings or a degree. We're the ones you can trust. Come and see. Planning a wedding or a holiday spree. Or maybe a car for adventures to be. B&S Credit Union, we've got your back. With loans tailored for your life's track. Visit bnscu.ie. Your journey start. B&S Credit Union, where dreams depart. Join us today and let's make it right. With BNSCU, your future's bright. B&S Credit Union Limited is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
If you aren't quite ready to drive a full EV, you'll be going in the right direction with the Mazda CX-5. This SUV comes with fuel-saving Mazda M hybrid technology and a 6-year warranty you'll find across the entire Mazda range. Test drive the 241 Mazda range at McGinley Motors Mazda Letterkenny. Mazda, crafted in Japan.
Save on carving and laminate essentials at Homeland. Gas Buddix debutter now €165. Milk Bar 10 compartment feeder now €179. Nutrius Ovigold and Bovigold mineral range, buy 2.5 litre, get 1 litre free. And there's 10% off the FlexiThin Classic waterproof jacket and trousers in store and online at homeland.ie. Nationwide delivery available. Offers available until March 31st.
Backstage Bar and Grill is the ideal destination to treat all the mums this Mother's Day. Every mother who dines with us will get a free dessert with their meal. To make a table booking or for more information, call us on 07491 21976 or email us at bookings@centurycinemas.ie.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And I'm going to be joined in studio very shortly by Michael and Fionnuala as we chill out heading into the weekend for That's Entertainment. Stick with us. It's a bit of crack, a bit of fun, and we want your input. I'll appeal for that further. After we get a news update now, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Donegal Deputy Joe McHugh says there's no light at the end of the tunnel in terms of a ceasefire in Gaza. The United Nations Security Council has called an urgent meeting after 112 people were reportedly killed during an aid delivery in Gaza. The Hamas-run health ministry has accused the Israeli army of shooting at people who were trying to get food during the delivery near Gaza City. People are being urged to be vigilant as it's emerged scammers have been going door to door in the Twin Towns. A number of people are believed to be offering tarring services, claiming they have leftover tar from a job on the Lifford Road, charging just labour costs. A number of people in Ballybofey and Stranorder have already fallen victim to the scam. Councillor Patrick McGuine says the group is highly mobile. Questions have been raised over Donegal County Council's planning policy governing public infrastructure installations such as signs. It says work is currently underway on Buncrana's shorefront to install a large sign commissioned by funding from Councillor Nicholas Crossan's Mayor Fund, which he claims was brought before members of the Inishowen Municipal District. The local authority says planning exemptions mean such items can be erected without a public consultation. Former President Mary McAleese is calling for a yes vote in next week's referendums. The country goes to the polls next Friday to vote on 2 constitutional amendments on family and care. The HSE is seeking to reassure people in Kilmacrennan that the same level of GP services will be provided in Milford. There's serious concern after the health centre in Kilmacrennan closed on January the 29th, with patients instead having to travel to Milford. The HSE has confirmed that an additional clinic room has been established in Milford Health Centre to facilitate patients who would previously have attended Kilmacrennan. The Agriculture Minister will meet his Northern Irish counterpart in Donegal later today. Ministers Charlie McConlogue and Andrew Murr are set to celebrate the announcement that Irish grass-fed beef is being given the same special status as champagne. And a driver has been arrested and a car seized overnight in the Letterkenny area. The Letterkenny Roads Policing Unit were on patrol when they observed a driver failing to stop at a red traffic light. They were subsequently stopped and it transpired the motorist had no insurance. Gardaí seized the vehicle and the driver is due to appear at a future court sitting. In addition, a motorist was arrested after testing positive for cannabis during a roadside test. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Michaela, thank you very much.
Before you settle on a new hybrid, take the Nissan Qashqai e-Power Challenge. The Nissan Qashqai e-Power is a hybrid, so you don't have to plug in. But unlike other hybrids, it always drives in electric mode. You get the superior, smooth and quiet driving experience of an electric car all of the time. Take the Nissan Qashqai e-Power Challenge at your local Nissan dealer today. You'll never look back. Nissan, innovation that excites.
Just turning 4 minutes past 9, Friday the 1st of March. It's time for us to ease our way into the weekend where we try and park much of the serious stuff and focus on stuff that entertains us. Now, that can be reading, it can be getting out doing something for the weekend, it can be the cinema, the stage, the TV, whatever it is. We want you involved in this item in the show as well. 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. And we have our regular duo of Michael Leddy, writer and blogger. Hiya, Michael.
Hello, Greg.
Good to have you with us. And, of course, Fionnuala Rabbit.
Hi.
Fionnuala, you were handing over the chain Ishii to Claire McDonough?
Yes.
After your
Yesterday
year?
we had a very successful AGM and Claire is going to make a fantastic president. I know the year is going to be very exciting, and actually we're heading into 2025 is the 60th year of the Chamber of Commerce in Letterkenny. So it's an exciting time to be involved in it. I'm sure we'll be doing lots of even extra bits.
Yeah, okay,
On
good
top
stuff.
of
We
all the
look
work we
forward to
do
it. Yeah,
already.
of course. Oh, yes, there's no doubt about that. Okay. Listen, thanks very much for that. Right, I'm looking down the list here to see if there's anything I've watched, and I don't see anything. We'll start with you, if that's okay, in the cinema. Wicked Little Lies, Olivia Colman, Jessie Buckley, Timothy Spall and Anjana Vasan. Have you seen it?
I went to see this on my own last night because somebody has moved their affections to Katie.
Hold on you a second.
Fairness, Katie is his friend now.
Oh no!
And so yeah,
you didn't go to the cinema with Katie.
No, he just
comment.
goes dancing with her and everything. See him on social media dancing with her.
Let's not talk about that.
Okay.
I've heard enough about that all week.
Ugh, all he cares about now is Katie.
Katie.
Exactly. That's fine. It's fine. It'll all come around again. So I ended up sitting in the cinema, all Billy No Mates, all on my Todd,
sobbing,
and sobbing absolutely. But I have to say, I may have seen one of the best movies I've seen in I don't know how long.
Wow!
I cannot recommend this movie enough. It was brilliant. Next week is the week, it's the start, or this month, isn't it? It's Women's History Month, and it's next week is International Women's Day. Ladies, treat yourself. Drop the keys back into the letterbox of the house, head off and go to the cinema. This movie is so fun. It's just Olivia Colman and Jessie Buckley have a fantastic chemistry together. Olivia Colman is amazing in it. The story of it is back in the 20s in the UK, there was a big scandal, and with regard to, in a small little village in Sussex, I think it was, or somewhere like that, there was all these letters started arriving to people with terrible language in them. All, in 1920s, obviously it's just after World War One. Bad language is only slightly becoming a thing, but obviously not for ladies. And on this, in this little village, a young Irish woman had moved there, and she was a little bit rough around the edges, bit of language, all that kind of stuff, had a row with some of the neighbours and that kind of thing, and she ended up that she was blamed for writing these letters. So it actually is a true story, which you find out, but when you go and watch it, you're kind of like, oh, no way. The whole way through it, I was like, no way. And for once, I had not Googled it or looked into it, which I have to say, don't Google it. I know I'm telling people bits about it. But Olivia Colman plays the lady that's the receiver of the letters, and Jessie Buckley plays the Irish woman that is accused of writing them. As I said, the relationship, the connection between the two women is absolutely fabulous. Timothy Spall is in it. He plays Olivia Colman's father, which I have to say, if I was Timothy Spall, I'd be a little bit upset about that. he's a bit young for that, but he's brilliant in it now, because Timothy Spall is, he's got that kind of like long sort of, so it's perfectly suits that kind of, 1920s women should, read your Bible verses.
He can pull those expressions.
He can totally, they're very religious, and like to the point of, writing out psalms if you've, done anything, and it's all, by the grace of God, and only God can punish, and all that kind of thing. So it's, you will be laughing out loud at it. You will just, there's the kind of softer moments in it. There's another group of women that are these women's friends, you know what I mean, from around. I just cannot recommend this movie enough.
And Olivia Colman, if she hasn't already established herself as one of the greats, she everything she touches turns to gold.
It's amazing, really, isn't it? Because in fairness, she was quite, and I don't mean this obviously
TV
in real life,
or something,
but she was quite old when she kind of came for this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't around in her. Obviously she was doing lots of stuff in her 20s and things like that. But it really wasn't until like kind of Broadchurch and a few things like that she started coming out. And all of a sudden, everybody was like, "Oh, that Olivia Colman is great." Because Broadchurch, if you haven't seen it, it's now on. I think it's on one of the streaming platforms. It is amazing.
It's on. It was pushed towards me. I think it's on. I think it's on. It's not on Netflix. It's on Amazon. I think it's Amazon.
Yeah, I think it's on. I think it is. Yeah, it's not Netflix. I think it is Amazon. But it's amazing. And if you come across it anywhere, or sometimes they'll replay it on Virgin Media 2, 3, 4. She was just amazing in it, and it's a really good kind of mystery. Sort of
I like it. I like this film. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be.
It's so fun. I really recommend people go. It just, like I said, I mean, I'm not saying I don't think men would enjoy it as well, but it's very much kind of about the relationship between women and, between the friends and the different things. There's also then one of the characters in it that's part of the investigation is one of the first female officers. Female police officers in the UK, and in particularly in this region. So you kind of have that little dynamic going on, but it's all done very kind of lightly. Like the misogyny of the time is done in a really kind of a funny way that you're sort of like going, oh Lord.
I bet you wish now you hadn't done the social dirty with Katie now.
I know. I think this sounds like a great film.
Do you think that?
I must check and see if Katie is...
This is a scorned woman just saying a crap film is good?
It's so good.
I'm taking the review. No, I'll see some night if Katie's free and maybe go along.
Please stop it. Let's hear a little bit of the trailer here.
The mystery of the obscene little Hampton letters is causing widespread distress across the nation.
Edith Swan takes it up the... and she loves it more than Christmas Day.
Only words about that.
She sucks 10 a week, minimum. Holy heavens.
In the end, I think it's just jealousy.
Okay, as you can see there, it's been cleverly edited, but I think we're getting a sense of what's going on.
There's two trailers.
Even the letters are hilariously funny because the language
the way they're being read as well.
And the language that the writer uses is it's like, you know.
It's not modern language.
It's not modern language, and also it's just so like trying to be very bad, and then like it's like, you know, oh my God, you effing, and then it'd be like puppy. You know, like it's just this kind of like a twist, a flow to the language. So when they're read then by the other characters, it's just hilarious.
Right, brilliant stuff. Okay, that's Wicked Little Lies. Fionnuala, massive thumbs up for it there. It's in the cinemas, and it sounds like it would be a really good treat for, you know, fellas are open to it as well. But if a group of sisters were going to watch something or what have you, they'll get plenty of fun with that. Yeah. Right, let me see. Young Sheldon.
Oh, yes.
E4. This is old as the hills, isn't it?
Yeah. I've been told about this numerous times. And
did Katie recommend this?
Yes.
Oh, it's not a coincidence.
No, but a buddy of mine was up.
No, she did recommend it to you.
She probably did. A buddy of mine was up to see the play that we did recently, and we were catching up. And as usual, when you meet a friend now, it's like, nobody watches all the same TV shows anymore. We all everyone has their 20 shows, and everyone has their 20 shows, and there's like 700 other shows that nobody watches. So he made a very strong case that I should be watching this because it's like Sheldon from Big Bang, which I love, and it's got loads of geeky references from the late 80s, early 90s, which, you know, is my language. The problem I have with this show, with shows, I don't like family sitcoms. Mm-hmm. I don't watch them. Detested Modern Family.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Detested that.
Oh God!
Wow. Couldn't get into the Goldbergs.
Now I know why we're
strong language.
Yeah, I know. Just could not get into any of those things. So I watched the first episode of this on Sunday night to see could I get into it, and it did not pull me in at all. But I'm not going to give up after one episode. This is Chuck Lorre, after all. Chuck Lorre is the guy behind Big Bang Theory, but he also the guy's list of credits goes back to Dharma and Greg in the 90s, which I loved. He had Grace Under Fire in the 90s, Sybil Shepherd Show, Sybil, which I wasn't a big fan of. It was just Ab Fab taken to America. But he's also the guy who did the Kaminsky Method, the fantastic Michael Douglas, Alan Arkin, the father, yeah, comedy series. So, I mean, I should give it a try. But yeah, it's Sheldon, the character from Big Bang, as is he 8 or 9 at the start?
Did you enjoy the Big Bang Theory?
Oh, I loved the Big Bang Theory.
That's not a family-based.
No, it's a group of buddies, like a group of friends, you know. I like friend-based shows. Like my favourite type of sitcom are workplace shows, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Cheers, Wings, The Office, News Radio, and I can just WKRP in Cincinnati.
You're not going to like Sheldon, so.
Yeah, it's just not. I don't like family shows. The only family show I ever really liked was Married with Children, which was the anti-family sitcom because it was really sharp and witty.
What about
and
Mrs. Brown's Boys?
I'm just going to get my coat.
You don't like that?
And I do not like that. No.
Benidorm?
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Family Ties.
You see, Family Ties worked for me, but I was a kid, and I kind of liked Mallory a lot.
You've lost out. You're missing out on a lot.
A lot of things.
But you won't like young Sheldon then.
Yeah,
I just stay away from.
And I shall never be able. I can't tell Steve, my friend Stephen. I'll just have to pretend for the next 6 years that I'm watching away at it. I'll message him every now and again and say it's great, but I will. No, I'm not going to give up after one episode. I'll give it a bunch. I'll give it 13 anyway and see what happens.
It's not like they have to establish characters or what have you. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to know the type of humour that's in it, the kind of scenarios they present. I mean, it's not like a drama where it might pick up, or maybe it is it? I don't know.
No, they do establish characters. Sorry, no, because I've actually watched it, but they do.
Yeah. Are you up to date with it?
Yeah, well, I actually enjoy it. I love a family comedy. Modern Family was awesome, but they do actually, because basically what it is it's young Sheldon as obviously growing up. So it's Sheldon from it. He's 8. He's in high school. Because he's of genius. It starts off with this kind of the first couple of years is him in high school, then it goes on to him in college and that kind of thing. It's actually, they think this season is going to be the end of it because the young guy who plays Sheldon is brilliant, but he's growing up too fast for them.
Yes.
So he started getting tall now and he started getting everything. The interesting thing about it is that the woman that plays his mother in this is the daughter of the woman that plays his mother in
Big Bang.
The Big Bang.
Wow. Okay.
Laurie Metcalf.
Yeah, so there's a lot of kind of continuity and stuff like that. It starts off, as a lot of these shows do, concentrating on him. And then because they cast so well, actually in the last
branches out a bit. Yeah.
The last series, it was actually very little about him.
Okay.
It was more about, which is why you won't like it if you don't like family, because there's like the mother and father have storylines, the brother and sister have their own storylines about growing up and changing and that kind of thing, and marriage and that. So it's moved into a real family sitcom rather than about one person.
The mother was the best thing about the pilot, I thought. The mother was great.
Oh, she's
fantastic.
She's very good in it.
She's very, very good. I thought
and very
she was
true to the kind. You can see how she'd grow up to be the woman that's in The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
But it's very. I really enjoy it now, and I'm looking forward to the next series. I think it's the 6th series now. That's due out. But yeah.
Okay.
I know it's a big hit as well. I know it's done very well for them. So.
Just because it's a big hit doesn't mean you have to enjoy it. Okay,
No.
What are you watching? What are you enjoying? 08660 25,000, and we'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show after our first break of this hour.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Choose life. Choose fun. Choose not sitting at home getting bored. Choose something better. Something really fun. Choose Fundamania. Coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl from March 1st. Choose regular, junior or family wristbands and enjoy some of Europe's top thrill rides. Choose fun for all ages. A legendary Fundamania event, 1st to the 17th of March. For details, see fundamania.co.uk.
Acres payments land in farmers' accounts. For more in your Irish Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
Over 20,000 farmers to receive key farm payment this week. Hogget prices hit record high. Beef finishers losing close to €200 per head on autumn stores. Full reaction to EU nature restoration law. Milk price top up for Arrivo suppliers. Beef and sheep farmers lose out on trade deals. Plus, we hear from 3 farmers devastated by TB outbreaks.
All inside the Irish Farmers Journal. You cannot afford to miss it.
The Addams Family is coming to An Greenan Theatre. Join Gomez and Morticia in the hilarious musical comedy that will raise the dead, as well as your spirits. You'll be in stitches with the show that puts family first.
The intoxicating spell of the graveyard.
Letterkenny Musical Society's 23rd production, The Addams Family, on Greenan Theatre, Letterkenny, March the 5th to Saturday, March the 9th.
Rigor mortis!
Are your small appliances due an upgrade? Irwin Expert Electrical, your ultimate destination for all things electrical. From stylish toasters and kettles to innovative coffee machines and air fryers. Or elevate your tech game with our selection of smartwatches, iPads, laptops and phones, and TVs from all your top brands. Stay connected with Irwin Expert Electrical, Letterkenny and Buncrana.
Donegal's newest and largest live music and cocktail venue is coming soon to Ballybofey. This March, come and experience Gallon's Bar, featuring 18 screens, 12 live music acts weekly, 4 bars across 2 floors, including 2 cocktail bars, a wine bar, and a rooftop beer garden. Gallon's Bar, Ballybofey, something for everyone. Strictly over 21's venue. Follow on Instagram, Gallon's Bar, for more details, competitions, and the reveal of our official opening date.
Okay, you're welcome back to the 9 till noon show. It's That's Entertainment, where we discuss various TV programmes, what's on the cinema, what's on the stage, and then shamelessly plug stuff to do with Highland Radio at the same time, with little or no consultation with me, which is perfectly fine. Why would you? I'm a nobody.
Shameless was the show, was it not?
Oh, yeah, that's a connection, yeah. I don't know, I can't fit you all in. It'll be grand on the screen. But anyway.
You're right, I'll take you in this way.
So, what are we talking about now? Because something really exciting. We're celebrating another birthday. Sean, do you want to give us some deets?
Well, I'll let Finola kick off because she just said something there which is quite important because 2020, we'll go back to 2020, will we?
Yeah, so people might remember, as most people do, particularly as yesterday was leap year, and the last time we had a leap year was 2020. So February 29, 2020, we were all thinking, oh my God, this year is going to be awesome. And then it took a slight left turn. So people may remember around this time, 4 years ago, we announced that we were going to have a massive charity year for our 30th birthday. And as things went, obviously we were unable to do so. And, it took us all a few years, businesses and individuals, to kind of, put the past behind us and get over the PTSD. And now I feel we are raring to go. So some of the staff came to me with the proposal that they really wanted to kind of get back on track with that idea. And so we contacted the charities and we are raring to go. And we are going to have a massive charity event on
on the 15th of March, which is 2 weeks today.
Okay, so it is a day like no other, I think, unprecedented on Highland Radio. There's going to be loads of surprises, twists and turns, and other things that rhyme with each other. What can we divulge about it? It's going to be an off-air and an on-air element to it. They're going to be adjunct.
What does that word mean?
They're separate but the same.
Together.
Yeah, together. Yeah. So the idea is what we don't want to give too much away about the content of what we're going to do, because it's going to be a bit of a surprise for our listeners, and it's what we wanted to be is a fun day, but also a day that we can raise as much money as we can for the charities. So you're right in saying there's 2 different locations. They'll be here, and we'll be in the shopping centre for the day as well.
Okay, so obviously you've been Letterkenny-ised, because there's more than one shopping centre in Donegal. The universe does not focus around one particular area.
There's a reason.
Why do I have to labour this?
There is a reason.
There is a very good one, but where is it? Are you not telling us?
It's be the Letterkenny shopping centre, Greg.
There's more than one.
And the reason being is because we're doing a cyclothon down there. I can divulge that. And I've encouraged and blackmailed every presenter that they have to be there on the day. So we have to, obviously, time-wise, we haven't got a lot of time to go back and forward. Yeah. So we're going to do a cyclothon with a bit of a twist. There'll be 2 bikes there. And I'm encouraging, and I've already got a number of gyms on board.
Brilliant.
Who will have a competition on the day to see who is the fittest gym and who can cycle the furthest in 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. And they have an option where they can have 1 cyclist, or they can have 4 or 5. And all they have to do is to raise €150 for the charities. And as I said, I've already 5 on board, and I'm looking to get to 20. But over the next couple of days, I'll be actually contacting as many gyms across the county, Greg.
The whole county.
Will include everybody. And we'll have more than 11 as well, so that'll be good. So it'd be a great day.
So very good. So that element of it is a fundraising drive down in Letterkenny Shopping Centre, and it's great that they're hosting us down there, and it's a cyclothon, and people going about their business, but also people can call in and see their favourite presenters battering away on the Rahar, and also there's another fundraising element of it involving gyms and what have you as well. So that's going to be great fun. From the on-air perspective, we'll be dipping in and out of that as well. So we hope people are really generous, as they always are. On-air, this is where it gets a little bit secretive in that, and let me assure listeners, the secrecy is not born from we don't know yet.
Maybe.
Minor problem.
There is a loose structure there.
There is a loose.
But I'm not
we
going
have
to say anything.
We have a vague idea. I have a vague idea. I have a vague idea what's going on.
I think, shall we say some phrases like fish out of water? No?
Exactly.
Okay.
Basically what we're going to be doing is tune in from 6:30 in the morning until we finish up at night, and you will be surprised about who you see, hear, listen, watch, the whole thing.
The day's been jigged.
The day is being jiggered about, and you need to tune in and just see. We've got a lot of different well-known personalities, as I like to call them, rather than celebs anymore now. So we've got a lot of generous, well-known personalities that we're going to be speaking to. All our presenters are kind of changing things up a bit, so there's a lot of bit of changing up. We're also going to have an open day here at the station. Well, I say open day, open morning here at the station, because obviously we need to get people down to the cycle as well. So we're going to have an open morning here. People can come up and have a cup of tea and coffee, and hopefully donate as well.
And the fantastic thing about this as well is, however it happened, that I've managed to find myself, I'll have less work to do that day.
That's what
I will.
We feel you're going to do the bulk of the cycling.
Yeah, that's fine, but on air, if you don't like me, then it's good to tune in, because I've actually managed to reduce my output by about 2/3. It's
we haven't divulged exactly what you're doing.
It's fantastic.
You're definitely going to be phoning it in.
This is brilliant.
Well, there is a suggestion that one of the presenters sits in beans, and I feel you may be voted as that if I tune out.
I have an allergy to beans, unfortunately, and peas and anything else that's wet and lumpy.
I think the one thing to say on the day, though, is you might get a little bit confused in what time of day it is.
Yeah, exactly. The shows currently run at specific times. We're playing a bit fast and loose with that. It's about fun. It's about all the voices that you know and you recognise. fish out of water sometimes, but the focus is on fun. Basic structures there, but things are going to be different.
Absolutely.
And it's just a case of you tune in at any stage during the day. You don't know precisely what you're going to get, but you're going to have fun and you're going to be entertained. There'll be some hits. There'll be some misses. I don't know.
Oh, look,
But
we don't
that's
know
part of the
ourselves.
fun. That's
We've
part
never
of the
done it
fun.
before, so this is exactly
Yeah.
when this could go brilliantly, and it could also be a disaster, which could be equally fun for the
Equally
listener.
fun.
Either way.
Exactly. Friday the
15th of March.
Friday the 15th of March, just heading into the St. Patrick's Day weekend.
That's it, exactly. It's just to start that weekend with a little bit of fun and a little bit of a bang. We'd ask people to donate. So if I'm going to ask people to donate, because you can donate obviously in the Letterkenny Shopping Centre, you can donate by calling into us here, and you can also donate by ringing us and phoning in, or you can donate on online. We'll have an online system as well.
We are fully interactive.
We are.
And we are live. And I'm having messages from cycling clubs.
Oh, excellent. We'd love
who
anybody.
are saying, would you have any interest in cycling clubs coming on board?
I'd be delighted.
We would love anybody that wishes to get involved, but I think what I better do is mention what charities we're doing this for. Because
So Brian will be in touch anyway. Brian will be in touch all at Finn Wheelers Cycling Club.
Oh,
We'd love to
lovely.
have you on board. Sean will be engaging with you and throwing the net out. But this is the thing, before you talked about the charities too, this is what Highland Radio is all about. It's holding a mirror up to the community. It is the community. It's of the community. And you know, just like that there, someone says, could we? Yes, of course, that's the way it is.
Oh,
We have
absolutely.
the structure there, but, you know, we love working with all
And
our
if
different
anybody wants to do
organisations.
anything externally for the charities and you know, come in and kind of present us with monies for the charities, 110%, that's no problem
You
at all.
were just about to
They
go on
can
to the
do that.
charities, Fionnuala.
So the charities that we have, because I think a lot of people might have forgotten what we went with in 2020, but we've renewed our relationship with 3 amazing local charities. The first one is the Irish Wheelchair Association, the Donegal branch, and the fantastic work that they do down the road from us. And they're an amazing organisation that do so much and have so many different things. They're actually currently fundraising for a coach, which I think is what they were looking for in 2020 as well, and they had to put it on hold. So it's great for us to be able to help them with that. The other charity that we're working with then is Jigsaw. I think everybody knows that, you know, sadly, so many families are touched by suicide, and they're touched by have young people following the COVID that have had some mental health issues and anxiety and stress. And Jigsaw is a fantastic organisation that works really well with young people to try and help them cope with their anxiety and depression, and get them back on track and help them to learn coping mechanisms for the stresses that are our lives today. So they're an amazing charity. And then the last charity is Breast Care Northwest. Part of the HSC. They just do some fantastic work for the men and women of the whole of Donegal and the surrounds. So we're delighted to have all of those 3 charities on board. We'll be talking to them more over the coming weeks about the kind of work. They're better at describing what work they do than I am, but we'll be talking to them in the coming weeks about the kind of work they do. And I hope that people will come out and support us in giving them as much money as we possibly can, because they're all worthy organisations.
Okay, 2 weeks today. It's going to be great fun. We're going to be down at Letterkenny Shopping Centre. We're going to be mixing things up, having fun, fish out of water, Freaky Fridays, whatever way you want to describe it. It's going to be really entertaining, and it's going to be fun. And we're going to be supporting those 3 amazing charities. Sean, anything you want to add?
No, I think you just summed it up lovely there. And I think what we'll do is as we get closer, we'll give a bit more information. But I think the on-air bit will be exciting. We're out of our comfort zone in what we're doing. But what we just hope is that what we're doing will persuade our listeners to donate as much as they can. We're going to make it as easy as we can for them to donate. And a $5 will make a big difference. So we're just going to ask on the day if we can raise as much as possible. We'll run it right through to the Tuesday, so the options will be there that you can donate, not just that one day. We'll leave the online opportunity right through to Tuesday. And I can't think of 3 better local charities that we can support. And certainly from here, from a Highland Radio perspective, we'll do everything that we can to try and entertain you.
Yeah.
But we won't guarantee that.
No, well, I guarantee that whatever I do will be entertaining.
That's why you're only getting the hour.
I'd be pretty confident. So if you want less, Greg, Friday 15th.
Yeah, just donate now. Yeah. Just phone in today.
In fact, if we get any donations quite soon, we could whittle me down to half an hour. Okay.
No.
Radio. Okay, brilliant stuff. So we'll tell you more about it as the next 2 weeks. It's only a wee bit away. We've also got the concert, which is selling out fast as well. That's going to be great fun. That's the Monday before, isn't it? Is it?
No, it's
the Monday after.
The Tuesday after.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So that continues the celebrations over the weekends. Looking forward to that as well. All right, Sean, listen, thank you very much for calling in. Really appreciate it. And as I say, it's just to mark your card, but it's only 2 weeks away, and it is going to be an awful lot of fun. And all of your favourite presenters right across the day and the weekend, you're going to hear something from as many as possible over the course of that day. And then there's the fun down at the shopping centre. But as I say, we'll go through all of that more as the next couple of weeks wear on.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
Choose life. Choose fun. Choose not sitting at home getting bored. Choose something better. Something really fun. Choose Fundomania. Coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl from March 1st. Choose regular, junior or family wristbands and enjoy some of Europe's top thrill rides. Choose fun for all ages. A legendary Fundomania event, 1st to the 17th of March. For details, see fundomania.co.uk.
Shop smart and feel good with mega value offers at your local Centra. Like Weetabix 24-pack only €2.50. Centra freshly prepared selected Carvery dinners 600 gram any 2 for €8. And Birra Moretti 12-bottle pack only €17 plus deposit where applicable. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
Wake up, wake up. It's Mattress Madness at Easy Living Furniture with up to 50% off all mattresses, pillows and mattress protectors. With 0% interest-free finance available, now is the perfect time to gift yourself a better night's sleep with the mattress of your dreams. Speak to one of our sleep specialists today. Massive mattress sale now on with all mattresses reduced in Easy Living Furniture. Crescentlink Retail Park or online at easylivingfurniture.co.uk.
If you're into makeup, then you'll want to know that Lancôme's elite makeup artist Lorraine Byrne will hold a makeup and skincare masterclass at McGee's Chemist Thursday 7th of March at 7 p.m. With refreshments, giveaways and prizes on the night, it promises to be a really enjoyable experience. Tickets just €25, redeemable against any Lancôme purchase on the night. Places limited, booking essential. Call McGee's Chemist on 07491 21409 or call in store to guarantee your VIP place.
Derek Ryan returns to the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town for his weekend of dancing on Friday 1st, Saturday 2nd and Sunday 3rd of March. Joining Derek will be some very special guests. Olivia Douglas and Keelan Brown on Friday night and Robert Mazzell and band on Saturday night. Barry Kerwin and Eilish McBride will join Derek for an afternoon family dance on Sunday. That's Derek Ryan's weekend of dancing at the Abbey Hotel, Donegal Town. Friday 1st until Sunday 3rd of March. Pay at the door for each dance.
Okay, now all this week, thanks to our great friends at Fundomania Fairground, and it is coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl in Derry, Londonderry, from the 1st of March to the 17th of March. We've been giving you the chance to win incredible family passes for a day of unlimited fun and excitement. We've given away 2 passes throughout the course of the week, and we are going to give 2 more away before the end of this show. To be in with a chance of winning this fantastic prize today, you just have to answer this simple question. What Donegal town am I talking about? What town in Donegal am I talking about? And here are 3 clues. Amazing Cathedral, Donegal's largest town, home to ATU in Donegal. A lot of people here think it's the only town in the world. If you know the answer... If you know the answer to that question, I joke. If you know the answer to that question, text the answer, your name and where you're from, or WhatsApp it to 08660 25000, and you could be winning 1 set of 2 family passes for that event that's taking place between the 1st and 17th of March in Derry. Everyone of all ages, get ready to experience the thrill of a lifetime at Fundomania, coming to Brunswick Movie Bowl in Derry, Londonderry from the 1st of March till the 17th of March. There's loads of course, fairground rides, roller coasters, bumper cars, spinning cups, brilliant food. So we can be sending you there 2 family passes for a full day's entertainment. What town am I talking about? Amazing Cathedral, Donegal's largest town, home to ATU in Donegal. Your answer, your name, where you're from, WhatsApp or text to 086 60 25,000, and I'll announce those winners for you very, very shortly. Right, let's go to Netflix for Nuala. Death Comes to Pemberley.
Oh, yeah, I may have mentioned on this show, because I tell everybody, I love Pride and Prejudice. It's the greatest book ever written in the whole wide world. And anybody who's read Pride and Prejudice knows that Pemberley is where the Darcys live. That's the Darcy home place. So that's where Elizabeth goes to live after her marriage to Darcy. So basically, this is, which I didn't realise until I started looking into it, is a P.D. James book that was written much, obviously, 100 years more after Jane Austen wrote the original, and it's a mystery. It's a 3-parter. It's on Netflix. It dropped there last week, and it's an interesting one. I like when they take things with Pride and Prejudice because I love it so much. There's actually a book out, and then they made a movie out of it, and it is Pride and Prejudice and the Vampires. It is awesome. It is so well written. It is absolutely amazing, and even the movie isn't bad. It's basically, it gives you all the reasons why things happen in Pride and Prejudice, but it's because everybody's a vampire. So it's just so good and so fun. This, a little bit less so. They really tried hard with this. They brought in a lot of cast, and it's it's like a 3-parter. The length of it was nice. There's some great faces in it. You'll know them from all the kind of like lesser characters and lots of things that you've seen. But it just, for me anyways, it just slightly missed the mark. Right. But it's worth seeing it. The views, there's a lot of
is that because of your love of Pride and Prejudice? Is it framed in that?
Yeah, well, that could be possibly that I'm a bit prejudiced about it, because in my head the characters are a particular way after reading the book, and obviously this takes them out of the book into a different atmosphere. It's an interesting one. Basically what it is that there's a murder occurs on Pemberley grounds, and it's all about then finding out who actually committed the murder. So if you've read P.D. James, that's all of his stuff is all murder mysteries. All his books are. It's an interesting one. I have to say, what it made me want to do rather than is even just find the book and read the book.
Right? Okay. So,
that kind of way, because you're like going. It's slightly like as if they kind of did, and no disrespect to the actors, which obviously this is disrespectful when you say that, but it's a little bit of a poor man's version of this.
Yeah.
You know, the way like it could have been better. There's that kind of feel to it. It's not that new. No, I think it's.
I'm looking at the trailer here. Just
my thing about it is that I couldn't believe that I'd never heard of it.
Yeah,
because I am like I said, I have even Pride and Prejudice and the vampires. I on the zombies. Sorry, I can open myself up to anything that has to do with Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
And I couldn't believe I hadn't heard of this. So that's what really kind of brought my attention, and it just suddenly dropped. So I don't know where it was sitting in an archive somewhere, and all of a sudden now it's been out and about.
Yeah, the lead, the husband out of the Americans seems to have a prominent role in it. Okay.
Oh, okay.
What would you give it, sort of maybe putting your prejudices to one side, pun intended, and for general audiences?
It has a few twists and turns and that kind of thing. You'd sort of say it's like a 5 or a 6. You're sitting around. Okay. It's fairly fast paced. You're not going to be sitting there thinking, oh God, they could have done this.
Is there at least some bodice ripping in it?
No, it's right. No, God knows, proper Pride and Prejudice. No bodice ripping at all. We don't encourage that in Pride and Prejudice land. It's more about just what's going on around in the kind of society and that sort of thing. Right. But give it it's a 5 or 6. You're not going to sit there and think, oh God, they could have done this in an hour. It's fairly paced and that kind of thing. It's just, if you're like me and you're a big fan of it, it may fall a little bit short.
Yeah, I'm going to get around to Reacher season 2 now. Have you watched that yet, Mike?
Yes.
It's kind of juvenile, isn't it? A lot of the humour is kind of...
Yeah.
I never realised... I didn't get that impression with the first one. It's just... it's okay. Like
I think
wanna
it's
watch
because
it
in this
more.
one, have you seen how far are you into it? now?
And episode 3.
Okay. So, but because I've seen it, obviously,
Yeah.
I watch everything in it. Right?
I didn't realise that you were in on this as well. Go ahead, Fionnuala.
Yeah, no, well, I keep taking up everything. I'm sorry about
Not
this.
at all.
But I obviously have a lot of time on my hands. In Reacher, in this one, he goes back and he meets his army buddies.
yeah,
I
yes.
think that's what gives
It's
it
not
the
a
kind
solo.
of, you know, when it's the solo thing, he was like kind of brooding and,
The
you know,
loner,
and nearly monosyllabic. You know, like he only used words that was required. Whereas in this, you have a bit more of an ensemble, and obviously because I think they're trying to give that sort of army buddy kind of a feel, you know, like he's sitting around having beers with people.
Yeah, you get to see another side of the main character, so I can see why they chose this book as the second season. Yeah, definitely. But yeah, right. It's different. I mean, there were some negative reviews online, but on the whole, I think fans embraced it like they embraced season 1, and I loved it. I thought season 1 and 2 was
No, I'm
Stick
going
with
to
it.
watch
There's
it.
even some
I'm
bodice whipping.
Oh, right. No, I've no. I will watch it. It's easy
it's
to
worth
watch.
watching,
It's
yeah.
just. I just thought it was a little bit more adult and gritty, and I don't mean in terms of sort of the language or what have you. Just
I think
in terms
season
of the
1
scripting.
was.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Season 1
all right.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, this is, and to be honest, I'd say if you let's just say if you did a drinking game for every time somebody died, you would definitely have killed your liver by the time you hit at least episode 4. I mean, the death roll is insane in this.
It is
insane. You're like, I don't know
and
where
they
the
seem
police
to be
are.
completely outside the law as well. But
Nobody ever says, lads, now.
They've
There's no
been
need for
stopped
that.
not to kill people. All right.
No.
Rosie is coy because Rosie's going to tell us what she's doing for the weekend, but also plugging it, which is great. Hi, Greg. My entertainment for the weekend is a tea party on Sunday, the 3rd of March from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Garton Columkill Heritage Centre, and it's in aid of the Raphoe Diocesan pilgrimage to Lourdes. Rosie Connolly, have a great day, and hopefully others will join you. I presume part of that is an open invite for you to go along to that tea party. Okay, brilliant stuff. There's, could you get me, Caroline, could you get me David's afternoon tea thing? I just want to give that a mention as well. Right, criminal record on do you know what, I'm going to take a break because otherwise the timings is going to all be disjointed. I'm going to take this break. We're going to come back with Michael in just a couple of minutes.
Choose life. Choose fun. Choose not sitting at home getting bored. Choose something better. Something really fun. Choose Fundamania. Coming to the Brunswick Movie Bowl from March 1st. Choose regular, junior or family wristbands and enjoy some of Europe's top thrill rides. Choose fun for all ages. A legendary Fundamania event, 1st to the 17th of March. For details, see fundamania.co.uk.
Change is the only constant in business. So whether you're starting or growing your business, our dedicated business teams will always be here to support you every step of the way. Because the best businesses never stop beginning. Search Bank of Ireland Business. Bank of Ireland. Begin. Bank of Ireland is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Country Sundays continue at the Clanry Hotel this weekend with Michael English and his band. Admission €15. On Sunday 17th, there's Claudia Buckley. Get your tickets now for Logues Live at the Clanry on Saturday 16th of March. Tickets priced €15. Available from hotel reception or Eventbrite. But this Sunday, it's Michael English and his band at the Clanry Hotel, Letterkenny.
Do you know someone who is a real-life superhero in your community? Highland Radio's Community Hero campaign is on the lookout for those extraordinary individuals who go that extra mile for others. Nominate your local hero today and they could win €1,000. Nominate someone who you believe is a superhero within your community by emailing their name, address, the reason why, and your contact details to hero@highlandradio.com. Closing date for entries is the 18th of March 2024. Visit highlandradio.com for more information.
Highland Radio weather updates with Ireland West Airport. Time to book the family summer holiday. Fly to Barcelona, Faro, Milan, Majorca and much more for a perfect family getaway. Ireland West Airport. Don't just take off, take it easy.
Okay, so sleet and snow moving through the region in a southerly direction. Some hail and isolated thunderstorms are possible too, but drier, brighter weather following for the afternoon. Temperatures 3 to 7 degrees. It will become breezy and blustery as a fresh to strong and gusty north to northeast wind develops. That's the weather forecast. And the other thing I wanted to mention was an afternoon tea, because you're being invited to join David James for an afternoon tea. There's going to be tea, coffee and sweets on March the 2nd, which is tomorrow, in the St. Johnson's Resource Centre. It runs from noon until 3 p.m, hosted by David James, as I say. Most importantly, in going, you'll be supporting Patricia McCrossan and her family. Many of you will be familiar with that story, and you'll want to do your bit, so you can go along. David's hosting it, and it is in the St. Johnston Resource Centre, March 2nd, tomorrow, between noon and 3 p.m. And there's also a coffee morning in aid of breast cancer and Alzheimer's awareness in O'Flaherty's Bar in Buncrana from 11 to 1. All welcome. Caroline, when is that? 11 to 1 what day? Today? Tomorrow? I don't want to... I might actually be putting people off. Stay with me. I'll mention that again before the end of the show. I have a feeling it's probably today. It is today. All right. So get along there now to the O'Flaherty's Bar in Buncrana for a coffee morning in aid of breast cancer and Alzheimer's awareness. It's running until 1, and all are welcome. Okay. Sorry about that, Michael. Criminal Record on Apple.
Yeah, Apple really do have some great shows. A lot of my favourites are on there. So, Criminal Record, 8 one-hour episodes, a gritty drama series with the excellent Peter Capaldi. People will know him from The Thick of It, and I know him from Doctor Who, best of all. And Cush Jumbo from Good Wife and Good Fight. The structure of this is very much it's interesting. We sometimes talk about the tropes of storytelling and shows that are very similar. So another one of my favourite shows this year was After the Flood, and the structure and the engine driving both of these shows is the same. You have a young policewoman who is privy to information that she's not officially supposed to have, and as a consequence of having that information, she does some off the book sort of investigations, the sort that could get her into big trouble if she continues pursuing them. And like high-level police officers are telling her, get off this or stay off this. So After the Flood was brilliant, but it was very much, it was very much a fantasy kind of setup. It was kind of a murder mystery, but it wasn't something that you would take as being completely realistic. And I really loved it. Great show. This uses the same engine, but it does a completely different type of show. The tone here is grim and gritty. And again, you have the young woman, or the low-level police officer, and she's doing her own investigations. But it's about racism and misogyny to some degree inside the English police force. And it paints a very bleak picture of how investigations are conducted. And it involves, plot-wise, it involves a cold case. About 10, 11 years earlier, a man was sent to prison for a murder. And in the opening episode of this series, something comes to light, and this woman is made aware of it. Something comes to light which strongly suggests, A, that the man who did it was or is innocent and he's still in prison, and B, that the guy who did it is out and about, and that he possibly has some kind of police protection, that there's some kind of something going on there. So she starts digging, and consequently this starts to cause all sorts of trouble for her, because obviously there's high up police, and the main guy, Hegarty is his name, the guy who's in charge of the investigation, is a mean bit of business, there's no doubt about it. But what the show does really well, particularly in the early episodes, is it doesn't commit to telling us who's right or who's wrong. And when the characters confront each other, he confronts her about, a confirmation bias and people seeing things that they want to believe are true and making things happen a certain way, or seeing that things happen a certain way. And this idea that he is definitely a tough guy who'll go too far, but maybe he's not the bad guy that she thinks he is. And there's scenes where she meets people and they talk about Hegarty, what Hegarty does and what his people does. But we don't see him doing any of these things that people talk about. So you're watching it for several weeks and you're like, well, he's not the nicest guy, but is he the bad guy that she thinks he is? And then there's hints about her background that imply that maybe her judgment isn't the best. This show really puts a lot of cards on the table. I would say at the end of the 8 episodes, not everything quite works perfectly, but what they get right is so good.
But if you don't want to dig too deep into it and you just want to watch it, right?
Yeah.
What is it? It's a crime show?
It's a crime
drama?
show, and
is it a getting to a baddie?
Yeah,
Is
it's
the right
basically
or wrong person in
it's
prison?
structured kind of as 4 two-parters. The first 2 parters are primarily about the murder of a woman in a block of flats. So that case drives the first 2 episodes. The next 2 episodes are focused on a young boy who gets shot as part of a gang warfare thing. So it has kind of individual stories, but the engine underneath all of that is a cold case where this policewoman is trying to prove that the man who's been in prison for 11 years is actually innocent of the crime. He didn't murder the person he's supposed to have murdered. And as she digs, she finds out more and more unsavory stuff about Hegarty and Hegarty's team and what they may or may not be doing to get
and
to get
presumably
prosecution.
maybe we have to make some sort of decision on a means to an end or something.
Yeah,
or
and it's a
whatever it might
complete
be.
story. Like, I mean, I don't know if there's going to be a second season or what way they could like. It's like Vigil or After the Flood. Any of these can continue for a second season if they want. I mean, Vigil did.
Do you want them to?
I would love to see more of this show. Yeah, but I'm not sure. Again, not saying too much, but I'm not sure which characters could or could not come back or what way they would go. But I thought this was an excellent 9 out of 10, gritty, violent, but thought-provoking drama.
Okay. Criminal Record, available on Apple. Greg, please can you mention that International World Day of Prayer is in Newtown Chapel tonight at 8 p.m. That comes in from Kathleen, no problem. Our last 2 family passes for our great competition our last 2 passes go to Phyllis Stewart in Kerrykiel and Laura McGowan in Killybegs. Both of you correctly identified that Letterkenny is the town I was talking of. You're going to Fundamania, the Brunswick, on a day that suits you. It's a family pass for the full day, so have a great time, please. Hi, just wondering if you could possibly be kind enough to give a birthday shout out to John Doherty of Oma. He turns a youthful 93-year-old today. Enjoy your show. Lots of love from his wife, Margaret, and 4 daughters, Peggy, Dymphna, and Sharon and Bernadette, who've returned home today from Philadelphia to celebrate. Also from his grandkids and great-grandkids on both sides of the pond. Thanks and love the show. So a big happy birthday to Johnny Doherty in Armagh. Why do I keep saying that? Johnny Doherty of Oma. 93 years old today. Well done, Johnny. And isn't it great to have all the family around you, those that could make it back. Have a wonderful day. No doubt they're going to spoil you absolutely rotten. Okay, Daughters of the Cult is jumping off the page at me here from your list, Fionnuala, or do you want to maybe talk about something else?
No, I'll do Daughters of the Cult. I for some reason, all of the streaming platforms are obsessed with Mormonism, and I have to say it must be very tough to be a Mormon because you're constantly getting all of these documentaries out talking about extremism within the Mormon religion. And basically this is just another one of those. Ervil LeBarn was a breakaway group. We've had actually different documentaries in the past about certain groups of that have broken even away further from his group. But basically what this was just like a family. So it was they were Mormons living in America. They went for extreme Mormonism, also did the multiple marriages, married to many people at the same time. And, a lot of times this turns out to be some kind of a sexual content. In this stage, it wasn't really that. It was more sheer lunacy. Mm-hmm. I mean, the death toll with regard to this cult, they reckon was around 20 or 30 people.
Wow.
People ended up in jail. It spanned 20 or 30 years over the course of between the different family members all the way going through. The LeBaron family are one of the largest families in America because of the polygamy. Ervil LeBaron himself, they're not 100% sure how many kids he had. They think he had about 50. So you can imagine from that on springs more and more and more. And there was at least 3 or 4 brothers at the start. It's a really interesting one. There's only 3 episodes in it. It's on Disney. If you like those kind of things, which I have to say, it's my
you found yourself on a lot of them,
my
haven't
pet
you?
enjoyment. I have to say, I do like to sit down and watch a good movie, and particularly when you see religions that are genuine religions and that have, basis in great faith. Mormonism is a very strong religion, particularly in the United States, and there's a strong level of faith required to be a Mormon. I mean, general Mormonism is quite, strict and has a lot of religious parts to it. But when you see these breakaway groups, it's, the crazy just keeps getting crazier.
Okay.
And this is an interesting one because it's done from it's about 5 or 6 of the family that have gotten together, and that they're sort of sitting down and talking about what their childhoods were like, their experiences when certain things happened that were in the news, but you're getting kind of the first-hand accounts of what it was like to be a child in a house. And suddenly the FBI arrived, looking for guns and stuff like that. So it's a different kind of a take on it. There's not,
We've seen it before, but it's a little bit different.
Yeah, the documentarian is completely out of it. It's just the people talking themselves, and they're actually sitting around a table a lot of times talking to each other about where different attitudes or thoughts on what actually happened.
Brilliant. Okay,
as depending on their own thing. So it's an interesting one to see. It's just an interesting to see how things can go completely skewed.
Very quickly, People Are Strange. Daughters of the Cult. It is on Disney. Anything planned for the weekend, Michael? Anything to flag? Anything nice coming up?
Nothing to flag, but what?
We're going to the theatre on next Saturday night.
This weekend?
Oh, that's next weekend. Oh, yeah. Me.
See, Katie wouldn't get the
Oh, well, actually, Katie's coming with us. It's me, Michael, and Katie.
So the only way you can spend time now with Michael is
with Katie and Katie Liz.
Oh, yeah.
This
I
week,
was thinking of it because I was asked to push it.
All right. Oh, yeah, well, you can push it. Push away.
Well, we have 20 seconds.
No, we're going to see The Addams Family next week. It's almost sold out. Friday night is sold out. We're going on Saturday
If only
night.
they did a bit more PR on Highland Radio.
I know.
Yeah, it's about time somebody mentioned The Addams Family on Highland. I have plans for this weekend, but I think we've no time to talk about them now.
Okay, well, listen, brilliant stuff. Michael Leddy, writer and blogger, Fanula Rabbit, of course. As always, the pair of you, thank you so very much, and have a wonderful weekend. I look forward to chatting next week, and we'll mention the Addams Family there. But if you want to go to that, by the way, I'd suggest you get your tickets because it is selling out fast. Okay, see you Monday. Have a lovely weekend.
Choose life.